Carolina. We're at the Rock Kid Brewer Stadium, and it's all now time to play football as Appalachian State hosts the Trojans of Troy in the Sun Belt Conference opener. I am David Jackson alongside Avery Hall, and Avery, after a week of attention, it's finally time to play a football game.
It is time to play football. Everybody's talked a lot about Texas A&M and the success that Appalachian had at Texas A&M, but now it is time for Appalachian State and Troy University to buckle up and get ready for the ride.
Cameron Peoples leading the charge for App State, fifth leading rusher in the Sun Belt, 112 yards a week ago. He was the one that kind of put the game away with a long run on that last fourth quarter drive for the Mountaineers. On the other side of the football, Gunnar Watson, the QB of Troy, passed by 4,000 career yards in the Ole Miss game. He's a guy that can sling the rock, Avery.
He can sling the rock. I mean, he had a pretty good game against Ole Miss, as well as a great game against Alabama A&M, and I'm sure he'll come out gunning for this Appalachian State football team.
Old Dominion, Marshall, Georgia Southern, App State, all Power 5 wins at this point in time. Trying to set the tone now in conference play are the Mountaineers and Troy.
You know, these are ring games. These games are very important. Again, it's great to win outside of the conference, but this is a ring game.
Games mean something to both of these programs. Troy, the most Sun Belt Conference titles amongst league members with 6. App State with the highest winning percentage in Sun Belt Conference play as they get ready for their first opener. And you see John Summerall, the head coach of the Trojans, his first season as the head man. He was an assistant for 3 years under Neil Brown. A Kentucky graduate. He was on staff with the Wildcats. Had a nice little text conversation with Mark Stoops after Stoops became the winningest coach in Kentucky with their win over Florida last week. And of course, Summerall got his first victory as a head coach himself. And we'll talk about the context of that text conversation. You see Sean Clark, the head coach of the Mountaineers, but win number 21 will probably be one he remembers, Avery Hall.
Absolutely. Again, it was a total beatdown of Troy here in Troy, Alabama, 45-7, just complete domination. So he hopes to replicate that here today.
A week of attention finally turns to a football game as App State won the toss. They elected to defer and kick off. We'll see the Trojans on offense first. And this is a club, Avery, that has not gotten out of the gate strong. That's one thing that John Summerall would like to see as his team moves into conference play, as a little bit more pizzazz to begin football games.
You know, he wants a little more consistency across the board in the first half. Again, against Alabama A&M, they started out sluggish. Obviously, against Ole Miss, they started out sluggish. And you just can't do that when you're playing two good football teams. Because don't be mistaken, Alabama A&M is a well-coached football team.
Saw the numbers on Gunnar Watson, one of the more accomplished quarterbacks in Troy Trojan history. He's got a chance to do a little ladder climbing in the career annals this week, but he throws a pick on the first pass of the game. Well, if you're looking for a start, that's not the one you want to see if you're John Summerall, as Dexter Lawson comes down with his first career INT.
Great read by Dexter Lawson, zone coverage. Again, he only rushed 3 men on that particular play. Again, great read. Take a look here. Again, only rushing 3 down linemen Appalachian, get pressure. And what they did is they interrupted Gunnar's throw. He couldn't step into the throw, so he overthrows it. So good pressure by Appalachian State on that first play.
Overthrew Marcus Rogers on that pass attempt, and here come the black and gold of Appalachian State for the first time this afternoon. College game day on Sanford Mall. Many of you watch that and join us here for this mid-afternoon slot. To say that it's been chaotic in Boone, North Carolina for the last week is putting it a little mildly. And then you start with a pick on the first play of the game. Who knows what happens next? Chase Bryce going to go for the quick change play. The pass across the middle is caught on a sliding grab by Miller Gibbs. That'll move the chains for the black and gold on their first offensive play.
Actually, great coverage by the defender there, Craig Slocum, the free safety, but just a great throw and a great catch by the quarterback receiver duo there. Good protection by Appalachian up front.
Cam Peoples getting the start in the running back position. No word yet on whether Nate Noel will play. Told to us game time decision. We did not see him much in warm-ups, and if Peoples continues to run like that, won't need to see him much. Cam Peoples came in 88.5 yards per game. That's 5th best in the Sun Belt entering week 3. 112 carries on 19 attempts, or 112 yards rather on 19 attempts against Texas A&M a week ago. His 7th 100-yard rushing game in his Mountaineer career. Quite a season for him, quite a season for Chase Bryce to get it started as well. Bryce with 510 yards passing through 2 games. Deshaun Davis going with the Wide open touchdown catch in the end zone, and the Mountaineers on the board here at the Rock. Christian Wells for 6.
Outstanding play call by Barbay. The offensive coordinator has done a great job over the last 2 ball games calling plays. Another example of being aggressive. Twins to the field, to the boundary side. You run Davis back across. Christian Wells is just sitting there. Take a look here. You run Davis, he throws Christian Wells just a busted coverage, again, because they thought they were going to run the end around. Great play call by the offensive coordinator, Kevin Barbay.
Jaden McDonald, the lone Trojan back. Boy, Appalachian State could not have scripted a better start to this one at Kid Brewer Stadium. The interception on the first play of the ball game turns into a quick strike drive with a little bit of trickery as well, and Deshaun Davis throwing into the end zone that I know that he's got some not so fond memories of from that North Carolina game. That's quite the way to erase that.
It's a great way to erase that taste out of your mouth from dropping or not catching that 2-point conversion against UNC. But I will tell you, Appalachian, a good sign for Appalachian, because if you remember last week at Texas A&M, they scored off 2 turnovers. Texas A&M turned the ball over. They converted those turnovers to points. And again, right here today, they've gotten off to a good start by converting a turnover to points.
You see the fans here at Kid Brewer Stadium. They are packed. This is a sellout, 1 of 5 on the slate thus far. That sellout crowds for this Appalachian State program. You look at a Troy program as well with a lot of expectation coming into their first year under John Summerall last week against Alabama A&M. Slow start, like we mentioned. They finally kind of got things in gear as the game went on in front of 26,000 folks there as well. These 2 programs have sold about 22,000 season tickets between the 2 of them. There you see the nice move by DeYoungre Lewis. He is out of today's ball game, unfortunately. That's one of the storylines for both of these teams. Is a little banged up as we come into week 3. Troy was able to put their foot on the gas and separate from Alabama A&M, a 38-17 victory for the Trojans. But let's go back to the injury bug here. We do not expect to see Carlton Marshall, one of the most accomplished linebackers ever in Sun Belt Conference play. For App State, we don't expect to see Trey Cobb either. Is this more normal wear and tear 3 weeks in, or is this something that both of these head coaches need to be concerned about in terms of depth this early in the season?
I tell you what, for Troy, they should be concerned. They don't have a ton of depth. They've got some good football players, but not a lot of depth at that linebacker position behind Carlton Marshall. That's, you know, you're talking about having to replace a guy who has 457 career tackles, 3 shy of overtaking the lead in the Sun Belt for a career. Now, on the Appalachian side, again, they've got a bunch of good linebackers. They've got a bunch of 5th-year guys, 4-year guys that can step in and help out this linebacker core. And Jalen McLeod, Tyler Bird, Keshawn Brown, those guys, they won't be Trey Cobb, but they can play great football and give ASU some good minutes. So again, I think you don't want to see injuries this early in the season, David Jackson. But again, if you can get a guy healed, have a speedy recovery, get him back before the core of the conference schedule, that's always a good thing.
Michael Hughes to kick it off here at the Rock. Again, pretty quick start for App State. They needed 3 plays, 38 yards of offense after Dexter Lawson intercepted the first pass of the ball game off the fingertips of Gunnar Watson. So really 4 plays in this game. App State has a 7-0 lead on Troy here in the Sun Belt Conference opener. Sun Belt had quite the weekend last week. Of course, well-documented wins over Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Nebraska. If you look at what App State, Marshall, and Georgia Southern did on the national landscape, they follow that up with a takeover of advertising space last night in Times Square. Keith Gill touched it all just right. The commissioner of the Sun Belt not only saw those 3 teams win, he saw College Game Day come to a Sun Belt campus. We'll toss in a little bit of Times Square on there, and I don't know that you can find a week much better for the Sun Belt as we head into week 3 of this early college football season. Watson again trying to go across the middle. This time he hits his man. That's Deshaun Stoudemire, the cousin of Amari Stoudemire, the 6-time NBA All-Star. Stoudemire with a gain of 6.
I tell you, he's a big-time athlete, 6'1", 187 out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Again, nice slant route across the middle. I tell you, Gunnar Watson barely got that ball off. So Appalachian State is actually getting good pressure on the quarterback early in this football game. And what surprised me about the first two formations, they didn't have a tight end. Now they're back to tight ends, but they didn't have a tight end on those two formations.
Two tight ends. Remember, DeAndre Lewis out for the Trojans. He was quite a productive weapon last week. And now pressure starting to get to Watson, and he's down for the first time today. Mountaineers in the backfield. That's been part of their success, Avery, in these first 2 weeks. Pressure on the quarterback against two pretty stout Power 5 teams.
I tell you what, they have 5 sacks. They've kind of forced, 3 fumbles. Again, Dale Jones, the defensive coordinator, does a fantastic job of mixing it up. First of all, pre-snap, he's showing a different defense, and then there's a post-snap reality that the quarterback has to see. But that's great pressure by Jordan Earl, the unsung hero of that defense.
Spoken true words from a defensive lineman in your playing career.
D linemen never get enough credit.
Watson after the 7-yard loss. 3rd and long. Across the middle he goes again, and that's a first down gain for the Trojans as Tez Johnson moves the sticks. And Appalachian State, if you went to one thing that the Mountaineers have not been able to do consistently so far through 2 games, despite their success, that's get off the field on 3rd down. 11 of 22 against, that's 117th out of about 130 teams in the nation in terms of 3rd down defensive efficiency. So Troy moves the chains. 1st and 10 Trojans. They're creeping a little bit more toward midfield as we see the first carry of the day for Kimani Vidal. This is a Troy offense that has not rushed for more than 12 yards on a single run through 2 games. Vidal is the guy that can make this work. He's got a 1,300-yard career slate as a running back. He carries to the 40-yard line, a pickup of about 4 yards on 1st down.
They've not had a lot of success running the football this year, but they do have a deep running back room in Kimani Vidal and Jamontez Woods and D.K. Billingsley. Obviously, Jamontez Woods is the more physical back, but they do it by committee. 2nd
down and 6. Watson trying to settle this Troy offense and going to the boundary once again. That's Jabari Barber with the catch. He was a target early in the game last week. He got the first ball of the ball game thrown his way against Alabama A&M. Deep pass was a pass interference, but Jabari Barber, the Dothan, Alabama sophomore, moves the chains for the Trojans for the 2nd time on the drive.
Everybody talks about Tez Johnson, but actually Jabari is their guy. I mean, he's had 10 receptions, 165 yards, and he's a productive player for Troy University.
Vidal on the short run, taken down by Logan Dublin. You will see a lot of linebackers work for Appalachian State. Dale Jones said last week against Texas A&M, they were able to rotate not only into the 1s and the 2s, but the 3s. 3 teams worth of linebackers made that work against the Aggies in College Station a week ago. No gain on the play. 2nd down and 10 coming up. 5 wide for Watson as he slings underneath again. Finds Barber complete into App State territory for the first time. Still shy of the 1st down line to gain. It'll be 3rd and 5 for the Trojans from the Mountaineer 48.
That was a great open field tackle by Andrew Parker. Again, Troy came out and trips to the wide side of the field, twins to the boundary. So again, they caught out Appalachian out of position because they didn't have dime or nickel in, but Andrew Parker's a linebacker did a great job of an open field tackle there.
Troy 1 of 1 on 3rd down today. So far on the season, about 35.5% for Joe Craddock's Troy offense. 3rd down and 5, trying to move the chains deeper into Mountaineer territory, down 7-0. Watson with a little more time, and once again goes to Barber. We'll have to see what forward progress looks like. He was awfully close, and they'll give him the 1st down gain. Hey, how about credit Jabari Barber, sophomore receiver, go to the sticks, catch the football for a 1st down.
Smart IQ by Jabari. Again, know exactly where the 1st down marker is. Get there. Nice throw by Gunner. Now, this Troy University team's going to throw the ball 60% of the time, and he does not mind slinging the football. Again, Gunner was 34-47 at Ole Miss. And 24 of 34 at Alabama A&M, so they will throw the football 35 to 40 times today.
Devontae Woods with his first carry of the football game across the Mountaineer 40 to the 39-yard line. Short pickup again. We talked to John Summerall and Joe Craddock earlier this week about that run-pass balance because, like you mentioned, 60% passes. That seems like a lot for a Troy team that's had some good running backs before. Coaches say that's a little bit about circumstance, but 3 weeks in, you got to change your circumstance.
Well, and 3 weeks in, that is who they are. And David Jackson, I did, after we had a conversation with Summerall, I did go back and look at last year's productivity. They threw the ball 54% of the time last year. I know Summerall was not the coach then, but you have to go with your personnel. So really a good coaching job by Summerall to really use what he has and use his personnel to be effective.
Tez Johnson with the catch. Ronald Clark chases him out of bounds. Again, going to that wide boundary. The Trojans have found some success on this first quarter drive as they try to even things against Appalachian State here at a packed Kid Brewer Stadium in Boone.
And I think that is you think about it, these are quick outs. What that means is Gunnar Watson is having to get rid of the football quicker than he wants to, because again, think about it. You can have a read that's short to long or a read that's long to short. He's having to hit the short read because AFSU is putting pressure on him.
Play action look. Watson, home run down the seam, overthrew his guy, Deshaun Stoudemire. In space, had a step. Instead, it'll be 2nd down and 10 coming up for the Trojans. That's the first incompletion for Gunnar Watson since throwing the INT. He had gone 6 straight for 48 yards after the opening pick.
You know, incomplete pass, just overthrew the receiver there. But if you notice too, David Jackson, they had to roll him out to buy him more time so that that receiver could get down the field and be in position to potentially make that catch.
Stoudemire is going to be a target, 10th in the league in catches coming in this afternoon. Had 6 grabs against Ole Miss, 4 last week against Alabama A&M. 2nd down for Watson. A little bit more pressure coming. Pocket collapses. He'll run away from it and get the pass down the sideline, complete to Rajay Johnson. The senior's first grab of the day, about 3 yards shy. Actually, generous spot to the 19th, about a yard shy of the first down.
Rajay Johnson has 7 receptions for 112 yards this year, and they like to get him down the field. Again, good job by Watson extending the play there and allowing Rajay to get separation from the defensive back. So good job by Watson at the quarterback position.
Marcus Rogers off the field late sub here for Troy. And it looks like they're going to have to burn a timeout. They indeed will. So Summerall will call the timeout with 6:56 to play here in this opening quarter. Again, Appalachian State had 4 plays that put their first points on the board. An interception by Dexter Lawson on the first play of the game, then a 3-play scoring drive that saw a misdirection touchdown pass thrown by Deshaun Davis. And the Mountaineers looked like they were going to be in cruise mode, but credit Troy with a methodical drive. They face 3rd down and 1 from the App State 19. The 13th play of this 56-yard drive coming up, and Avery Hall 2 of 2 on 3rd down. They've kind of brought the Achilles heel of the App State defense back into focus.
They really have, but this is not surprising. If you go back, and I keep referring to the Ole Miss game because that's a quality opponent. But if you look at that Ole Miss game, David Jackson, they had 12 possessions in that game. They only had 3 and outs, and then they had 1 turnover. So what I'm articulating is they methodically drove the ball down the field on Ole Miss, just couldn't score. But when they got in the red zone, they were 2 of 2 in the red zone. But again, this drive does not surprise me. Troy University has been able to move the football this year.
Troy has not beaten Appalachian State in Boone since 2000. They do have a win over the Mountaineers. That came back in 2016, a 24-21 victory in Veterans Memorial Stadium. John Summerall, a member of that coaching staff. Neil Brown took that win, put the Trojans right into the AP Top 25. After that, you'll remember that was the first Sun Belt team to be ranked. And now, all these years later, 2 top 10 wins. I mean, the conference has seen its trajectory go up as these 2 teams have certainly used springboard moments to be a part of that conversation. The 3rd down and 1 coming up now for Troy out of the timeout. Handoff, easy first down, and then some more for DK Billingsley. And the Trojans on the board here in the first quarter.
DK Billingsley, he's the elder statesman of that running back room. I mean, he's been there. He's a senior, 5'11", 221 yards. As a matter of fact, he's the guy that they've counted on for the last 5 years. Great job of following the blocks. Good job by Troy knocking Appalachian's defensive line off the ball. Good execution on that play.
12th career touchdown for the senior from Scottsboro, Alabama. Capable threat, 1,200 career yards. He scampers for the touchdown. And Troy with the PAT off the foot of Brooks Boos. We see a tie score here with about 6.5 minutes, give or take, to play. David Jackson, Avery Hall with you from Kid Brewer Stadium. You see the run by Billingsley, and the thing that was impressive about Troy in that drive, Avery, a methodical drive like we mentioned, 13 plays, 75 yards. They overcame some third down adversity, but the physicality that John Summerall said he eventually would like to have this Troy team known for. Physicality was there on that drive. They blew some guys off the ball up front.
They've got some good Jimmies and Joes. They've got some great coaches. Popovich is the offensive line coach. He was with the New England Patriots for 6 years. He knows what he's doing over there. And that was just a job, an example of Troy being really physical up front, knocking Appalachian off the ball. But I will have to say that was poor tackling at the second level.
Last year, these two teams playing down in Troy, Alabama, all App State in this one, a 45-7 victory. Troy only ran 40 plays in that game against App State. The fewest plays of their Division I era, had just 16 minutes of possession time. Think about that in some context here, okay? They've run 14 plays in this game, had 40 all of last year. They had almost 7 minutes worth of possession time in this first quarter. They had what? 16 all of last year. So you see a more productive Troy offense already than what we saw on the field at Veterans Memorial Stadium last year. App State used this game to cruise their way into the Sun Belt Championship game, where they would eventually fall to the Ragin' Cajuns. First time the Mountaineers had fallen in that Sun Belt title game since they played in it. These two teams now not in the same division anymore. I think that's one thing that's a little different for you Sun Belt fans when you look at this game. It is a cross-division matchup now. Troy flying the flag of the Sun Belt West. Interesting, John Summerall, right after he got to campus, he saw the schedule come out, and he said, who in the world in the Sun Belt office did we make mad? Because Troy draws Marshall and App State in their crossover games.
They've got Marshall next week, so that's a tough stretch. I mean, to come to Boone, North Carolina, and then, of course, they've got Marshall, I think, at home next week. But, again, that's a tough two-game stretch.
John Summerall said that everybody, of course, saw App State on the schedule and thought, oh, yeah, you're right. We should be upset about that. He said, hey, wait a second. Marshall was ranked last year. We should be equally upset about that one, too. That's the way that these things work. App State will draw not only Troy in the crossover, they will head back to the Lone Star State and play Texas State here at the beginning of October. So a little different look.
A little different look, but I think Appalachian has a favorable schedule. If you think about the first 8 games, they are either at home or in the state of Texas, having to play Texas A&M last week. They'll go to Texas State, but the balance of those 6 games are at home for Appalachian. So I think that's a favorable schedule, having conquered one of those Texas trips already.
I was about to say, after last week, the Mountaineers will go back to Texas any old time they are asked. Alon Tucker coming out of the end zone. Stiff arms the tackler and bounces his way up to the 20-yard line. So shy of a few yards he could have received there, but Milan Tucker trying to get a spark for an App State team that came out awfully hot and then saw Troy march down on a 13-play drive. So we'll see how the Mountaineers counter with their longest field position to deal with here on this young football game.
You know, interesting, the guy who tackled Milan, he's the one being helped off the field. Milan's 5'11", 175. But he is a solidly built young man, and he is probably one of the best athletes on ASU's football team.
Yeah, I wonder if his dad, Michael Tucker, of course, probably getting the itch right about now. He was a playoff baseball guy. I mean, he lived in the postseason during his major league career. I'm sure that he's probably saying, "No, watch some football, and man, it smells like fall out there. It's time for me to go, you know, bat 300 in the playoffs." He didn't do that when he was with the Cubs that time, only with the Braves. App State trying to get the offense cranked back up. That's Cam Peoples out across the 30-yard line. Nice pickup of about 12 yards for Peoples as App State gets back to the offensive attack.
Appalachian lined up in big boy football. You see double tight ends, one receiver, and they said, look, we're going to see if we can be physical up front, knock Troy off the ball, and get the running game established. That's big boy football right there.
Still no Nate Noel for the Mountaineers yet this afternoon. They haven't had the football a whole ton of time. Just 3 plays to put their first points on the board to open the contest. Looks like a dropped pass. Caden Robinson was the intended target right at the 40-yard line. Just couldn't quite keep the fingertips on it. Robinson, one of those new receivers, and there's a boatload of them because this program graduated so much experience in the wide receiver room. There have been guys like Christian Wells, Deshaun Davis, Christian Horn, Caden Robinson who've been waiting patiently for that turn to get their spotlight, and now those will become the household names you'll know. Here's Deshaun Davis, not going to throw the football this time, and taken down on that end around. Troy all over it this time. Jaden McDonald with the tackle in the backfield.
Hey, that was just a great read and being aggressive by Jaden. Take here, quick snap, quick pitch. Jaden was not fooled at all, taking care of his gap responsibility as a linebacker and getting in and making a sound open field tackle on a guy who's 5'10", 175, shifty. That's not an easy tackle, but good job by the linebacker.
7-yard loss brings up 3rd and 17 for App State as we roll toward the 5.5-minute mark here of the first quarter. 4 wide, 3 to the bottom of your screen. Bryce with the simple toss underneath. And that'll get back to the initial sticks. With no first down gain as Christian Horn comes to arrest at a heap of Trojan tacklers, and App State will have to punt for the first time today.
Solid defense by Troy. Again, App came out with trips to the wide side of the field, had the boundary receiver crossing a drag, tossed it to him, looking really for that kind of screen play where they can get him a hole inside those other 3 receivers. Troy played solid defense, solid gap responsibility on the front line, and then good second level support linebackers coming and making a tackle there.
Clayton Howell to punt it away. Probably one of the unsung heroes in last week's win over Texas A&M. Remember, he took that one high snap, boomed a 50-yard punt away to keep the Aggies with long field position. As another nice field flip here as Troy will take the football at about the 27-yard line. Deshaun Stoudemire with the fair catch, and now Troy back to it from an offensive perspective. So Avery, after the hot start, App State goes 4 and out, moved the chains once there, but now Troy with time of possession on their side, 14-play scoring drive on their side. They've got the football right back again, and this is the start, maybe it didn't start exactly like you wanted to, but John Summerall wanted this: ball control, tempo control, and keeping the football away from that high-powered App State attack. And the way his defense is playing right into his scheme and his game plan. But if you know, Troy came to play today, and again, Appalachian probably needs to kind of wake up a little bit. Monty Vidal, the running back. It's pass to Stoudemire again. 8-yard pickup into a host of Mountaineers. Deshaun Stoudemire came in with 10 catches, 87 yards, about 43.5 per game. Moved from the slot position out to the X-receiver position in the fall. Got a little experience underneath his belt as Joe Craddock was looking for some people to build an offense around. Stoudemire is one of those guys. 5 starts now make it 6 in his Trojan career. Nearly picks up a first down. The first play of possession, number 3 for the Trojans. Jabari Barber was the motion back. Watson with time. They've shored up that Troy offensive line after the first series. Watson on the run has the first down, and just about more as he goes scampering into the App State bench with another movement of the chains for the Trojans.
I tell you what, Shill Wood, the offensive coordinator for Troy, has already made an adjustment in this football game. As you can see on the screen, he was kind of just letting Gunner sit in the pocket, but now he's rolling him out to buy him more time and to get away from that pressure by Appalachian State.
5 wide for Watson on first down. The check down route. Barber upended, but he gets 3 yards on the play. Mountaineers coming up and making the tackle out of the secondary. Stephen Jones with his first action. You know, Jones, an All-American from a year ago, ball hawk, cornerback, one of the elite defenders in the country, has had somewhat of a slow start from the statistical standpoint. He's been impactful in the defensive backfield, but he hasn't got a pick yet. He almost had one against Texas A&M. Dale Jones said this was a real key time for his development, seeing how teams will challenge him now. and being able to adjust to those challenges. Jones with the tackle on that last play. Here's another run play by Billingsley straight up the middle. And that's a first down gain and nearly a breakaway run for DK Billingsley, who's already got the one touchdown today. He scampers into App State territory once again.
I tell you what, that was a 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends. You really just have to give it, you know, to the offensive linemen, Austin Stidham, DeAndre Butler, Jake Andrews, Daniel King, and Grant Betts. They just really controlled the line of scrimmage on that last play.
Vidal again the setback. 1st and 10 Trojans just into App State territory. And this time ball game, closing minutes here of quarter number 1. Blitz pressure coming, and that's a big takedown. Black and gold got a little bit of juice there as Keyshawn Brown comes down with the tackle of Gunnar Watson.
That's the way to try and disrupt the throwing game. Again, you know, you give him a pre-snap read as if the linebacker's going to be in zone coverage, and you bring him off the edge here quickly. Good execution by Keyshawn Brown there.
Second sack for the Mountaineer defense in the contest. It's an 8-yard loss. So Watson and crew back into Troy territory now. Line to gain is the 39 of App State territory. Run play up the middle, and that's another tackle for loss. Nick Hampton with the tackle in the backfield. Got Kimani Vidal, and Hampton, a guy whose stock continues to go up in the NFL conversation. He acquitted himself well against Texas A&M last week. This is a guy that a lot of NFL scouts are talking about a potential day 1 pick. He shows why.
That's just great film study. Again, they did a twist. Nick Hampton came inside, the defensive end stepped outside. That's just good film study, knowing and recognizing that formation and being aggressive on your play calling.
Troy 3 of 3 on 3rd down. They got a 3rd and long to overcome here. 3rd and 17. Mountaineers pitting back, some pressure. Down goes Watson again. 3 straight plays of loss for the App State defense, and Troy thought they had some flow getting into Mountaineer territory. It was a very different end result for the Trojan offense.
So that play there, that whole series was a reflection of Dale Jones, Coach Nunn, the D-line coach, linebackers coach, all those guys getting together and saying, look, guys, we've got to pick it up. Saw different intensity by the defensive line play as well as the linebackers. A little bit of play calling as well. Again, more aggressive with the blitz, but that was really good pressure by 3-down line.
We have a timeout as we have reached the end of the first quarter. Classic conference game here at the Rock. 7-7. We're tied up after 1. King Streets, Boone, North Carolina. Last Saturday night, it was the place to be in the wake of App State's 17-14 win over then 6th-ranked Texas A&M. You see those students are back out in full force. A few of them might have taken a nap. They've been up awfully early. There were about 2,000 students that slept out on Sanford Mall last night to be a part of the College Game Day broadcast right when it first opened. Avery Hall and I were not amongst those folks. We slept in our beds. We turned on the TV. We saw it in all its grandeur. But I think it'll be a quiet night here in Boone tonight because these students are tired. It's been a long week. They've shown out well. Great punt by Mike Rivers, the field flipper for the Troy Trojans. Rivers, a transfer out of North Carolina A&T. He's actually back in his home state. He's a Wilmington guy. And he puts Appalachian back inside their own 15-yard line. And that's one of those secret weapons that John Summerall was talking about that was so important, especially when you get into league play. You know, special teams is critical, and Rivers is like bringing an All-American into your camp with the productivity that he had for the Aggies of North Carolina A&T last year.
Special teams are called special for a reason. I mean, Rivers can flip the field, which he has done. Again, put ASU deep in their own territory.
Chase Bryce, you see the passing yardage. You see that 376 number, 203 yards of that total against North Carolina right here at Kid Brewer Stadium. Came in the 4th quarter of that game. He's found a way, put Appalachian State even 1-1 coming into Sun Belt Conference play. Daetrick Harrington taking first effort, second effort, third effort into the secondary. Craig Slocum finally brings him down as Daetrick Harrington becomes the second Mountaineer back in the contest, and he picks up 6 tough yards on first down.
6 tough yards running behind a solid offensive line. Again, most of those guys on that offensive line are 4- or 5-year guys, and they're playing like it. Obviously played like it in College Station, but good hard running by Dayton Harrington.
Harrington 4 times in his career has gone over 100 yards. He's been banged up a little bit, had some injury problems. He had 12 carries against Texas A&M last week, most since the mid-2000s. You see the pass out in the slot. That's Deshaun Davis for the first down gain for App State, out across the 30-yard line, nearly to the 35.
Deshaun Davis needs to thank big, Cooper Hodges, number 70, 6'4", 305 pounds, did an outstanding job getting out there making the block on the most dangerous man.
Now the Mountaineers using tempo to their advantage, as Harrington again moves the chains for the Mountaineers out across the 46. There's one thing in talking to Kevin Barbay about, tempo has been such a part of Appalachian State's spread attack over the years, dating back to 2004. He said he likes tempo because you can change it in the middle of drives like we've seen in this one. A little bit more deliberate pass to Davis out on the sideline into Troy territory, but they could go quick strike. They could wait a second and draw things out like we saw App State do so well against Texas A&M last week. Chase Bryce even said he likes to do that in between drives because it keeps him thinking about the next play and makes the game of football a challenge. And you respect a guy that's been around as long as Bryce, wanting to find little challenges that motivate him from an offensive perspective. 2nd and a long 5. Play action look. Bryce with some room to run now. Gets back just beyond the line of scrimmage. Good pursuit there and staying home by that Troy defense.
Speaking of Chase Bryce, that was a great example of Chase. No one was open. Again, you go through your read progression. Again, all your receivers are tightly covered, and you decide to just turn it up and try and get as much as you can. Probably, people talk about his career at Clemson. They talk about his career at Duke. Maybe at Duke he would have thrown that football. But here at ASU, working with coaches that are working on his development, he decided to run that. So good decision on his part.
Mountaineers 0 for 1 on 3rd down so far this afternoon. Pass to Davis on the Mountaineers sideline at the 40, incomplete. So that 3rd down play goes for naught. We'll see if Sean Clark will elect to punt this football away. That's indeed what it looks like the Mountaineers will do. We saw Sean Clark play that kind of riverboat Ron kind of game last week a little bit. That's part of App State's DNA. They've gone for 4th down on 7 of 24 possessions this year at some point in time. He elects not to here in a conference game that's tied at 7.
And that type of gambling or that type of risk actually carried over to the team last week, because again they saw and appreciated and got excited and played a different, played App State football.
Flag on the play, looks like a false start.
False start. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 4th down.
Jeremy Parker, today's Sun Belt referee. He's been awfully quiet, not getting his air time.
You think Coach Clark and Coach Summerall, they're probably excited about that, because again, anytime you start conference play, you want to make sure your team's disciplined and focused. And both of these guys are fundamentally sound when it comes to coaching football, so you kind of expect their teams to be focused and disciplined.
This tight spiraling punt, fair catch called for at the 17-yard line by Stoudemire. Troy Trojans with the football and an opportunity to keep this crowd out of it here in Boone. 7-7 Trojans and Mountaineers in the Sun Belt Conference opener. Evened up in Sun Belt Conference play, 7-7 Troy and App State. You see this Mountaineer defense that has played 2 very different games coming into league play. The one game against North Carolina, Avery Hall, they gave up a truckload of yards. Epic football game, 63-61 loss. But last week, controlled it against Texas A&M. What was the biggest difference?
I really don't think it was a matter of effort in that UNC game. It was just a matter of them playing fundamentally sound relative to the front, the secondary coverage, just being out of alignment several times in the UNC, not several times, many times in the UNC game. But I thought the defense, Appalachian State's defense, played hard. And then in Texas A&M, they just executed really well, played gap assignment football, and they played very well at the 2nd level and 3rd level, just executed better at the Texas A&M game versus UNC.
DK Billingsley out of the media timeout with the first carry of this drive for the Trojans of Troy with 86 yards of total offense now. Gunnar Watson, 9 of 11 in the passing game, 69 yards. He's only had 2 incompletions. One of them was an interception on the first throw of the game. The second one, a harmless pass intended for Deshaun Stoudemire. After that, Watson's been fantastic, and he's been moving this offense here. Troy gets a gain of 2, 2nd down and 8. Trying to break this 7-7 score here at Kid Brewer Stadium, where they have not won a football game in 22 years. Watson with plenty of time again. Underneath he goes to Stoudemire. Uses a great pick from a downfield blocker and out across the 35-yard line for a first down gain.
I tell you, Appalachian did rush 4 linemen. If you take a look, they rushed 4 linemen. Just good job by Gunnar Watson going through his read progression. Good catch by Stoudemire. He's an athlete. I bet he has 5 catches already. And again, he's a guy who only coming into this ball game had about, I guess, he had 10 receptions for 87 yards coming into this football game.
That was DK Billingsley with that block. That made the whole play happen. 1st and 10, Troy. Billingsley getting the early carries here from a running back perspective as Troy tries to get that ground game going. Low snap. Watson's timing bothered. He's going to heave it down the field anyway, and he's got a man. There's a flag on the play. Rajay Johnson had to wait for it, but then the Mountaineer defenders were all over his back. We'll see how this one goes.
Wow, if they call pass interference, that's going to be a great call for Troy University.
Pass interference. Defense, number 6. Big 15-yard penalty, previous spot.
I don't know if we'll
down.
get a replay to look at that. I'm not so sure unless he was grabbing him and we just couldn't see it from our angle. It looked like good bracket coverage by Appalachian State University there.
Check it again.
Again, I don't see. Okay, he may have gotten there early.
There's the arm.
Okay, he may have gotten there early. Again, we couldn't see it from our angle, but obviously the ref could see that.
The Trojans into Mountaineer territory from the 49-yard line. App State. Allendike, the tight end, in motion. Watson going in that direction. Pass complete over on the sideline. Marcus Rogers gets loose. And that's another Troy first down. Knocking on the door of the red zone. Here are the Trojans in an even contest.
You know, you really want to see Stephen Jones. Again, that's just good protection. Again, a great throw by Gunnar Watson. But you really want to see Stephen Jones, the cornerback, come up and make a better open field tackle than what he just did.
Vidal up the middle, and he is stopped pretty much right there on the line of scrimmage. Logan Dublin in on the tackle. Pickup of 1 will bring up 2nd down and 9.
Right now, Troy University's offense is dictating the flow of the football game. Again, Gunnar Watson, he's a 3-year starter. Again, 5 touchdowns on the year, thrown for 662 yards this year in 2 ball games. So he's the real deal. He's a seasoned guy, and he's showing it right now.
Troy in the red zone. They're 6 of 8 in red zone tries this year, 1 of 1 today. That 19-yard run by Billingsley, Troy's only score. 2nd down and 9. Watson off the back foot. Looking corner of the end zone. Stoudemire there and is run out of bounds at the 2-yard line. Touchdown saving tackle for the Mountaineers out of the secondary once again by Ethan Johnson.
You know, they're using Stoudemire to stretch the field. This is a down the field pass. And typically he's averaged 8.7 yards per catch, but they're stretching the field with him today.
And off to Vidal, runs into a wall right at the line of scrimmage again. Deshaun McKnight in on the tackle. Look like they'll give a half-yard gain, 2nd and goal from the 1.5. Troy does not have coming into play today, the Trojans did not have a rushing touchdown.
You know what? And coming into the day, they're averaging 55 yards on the ground, and they eclipsed that already. They were coming in throwing for 375 yards passing, obviously, and running for 55. But the offensive line for Troy, they've kind of dominated up front in this particular drive.
Full house backfield. Watch for Will Cholo. Defensive lineman may get the call here. Instead, he blocks. Trojans go up the middle, and they've got it in there for a touchdown. Troy in the lead here mid-2nd quarter.
Tell you what, just great execution by Troy's offense. Offensive line is playing very well. Stoudemire is having a fantastic football game at the receiver position. Again, just this right here is just heavyweight boxing. We're going to line up in the middle. We're going to attack Appalachian State's defense, and again, quarterback sneak. Good physical football by Troy.
Busan for the PAT. Liner, but it's through there. And Troy in the lead for the first time today. Trojans have come back from that early pick. 14-7. Troy on top of the Mountaineers at the Rock. Back here in Boone, North Carolina, Appalachian State University campus. It was awfully busy this week. College game day in the house, lots of fans in the house, another sellout crowd here at the Rock, but it's the visiting team, the Trojans of Troy, who lead 14-7, 8-play, 81-yard drive. Puts the Trojans in the end zone for the second time today. Gunnar Watson credited with the 1-yard QB keep. See again, part of that sellout crowd, they've been subdued a little bit. I know they're tired, but Troy's taking them right out of the ball game, Avery Hall, with controlling the line of scrimmage to start this football game, and some good adjustments on the offensive side of the football after what was an absolutely disastrous start to the football game.
You know, they started with a lot of pressure on Gunnar Watson, and so they kind of started to roll him out to extend the play or extend the time to give him to throw the football down the field to give him time to go through his read progression. But the offensive line has done a fantastic job of recognizing who's coming, whether it's a safety or the outside linebacker, picking up blitzes. Again, they only have 19 yards rushing, but it feels like they have 100 yards rushing because they're doing a great job of running the football to keep the passing game open, and Gunnar's doing a great job. He's throwing at 80% clip rate, completion rate of 80% right now. And again, just doing a fantastic job of his read progression. Offensive line's playing well, running backs are being physical, and they've got this Appalachian State defense on its heels.
Time of possession giveth last week to App State in the win over Texas A&M. It's taking away right now. The Apps only with 9 minutes and 22 seconds of possession time through about a quarter and a half of football. See if a sustained drive is in the offing now. Damani Marshall dragging defenders to the 35-yard line. That's near a first down gain for the sophomore from Winston-Salem, his first carry on the day.
That's a nice solid run by Amani Marshall. Again, what's impressive about this run is the number of yards after contact. I mean, he gains another 4 or 5 yards after contact. Good job by the offensive line, but good hard running by Marshall.
Marshall had a touchdown in the A&M win last week, his first career score in black and gold of either team, Wake Forest or Appalachian State. Marshall again dives over the 35, and that's a first down for App State. TJ Harris, check that Tyon Palmer on the tackle for Troy.
I'll tell you, the Appalachian State running back room is pretty deep. You got, I mean, still we haven't seen, you know, Anderson Castle, who's a pretty good running back. You got Nate Noel, who's out. Cam is doing his thing. Cam Peoples, again, good addition of bringing in Amani Marshall to this running back room.
Play action to Marshall. Bryce pressured, has to get rid of it and is taken down. Will Cholo chased him down. Give some credit, though, to Antonio Showers for hemming Bryce in. Cholo finished off the job.
I tell you, Cholo is 6 foot, 276 pounds, and he doesn't look at it. Look how well he runs to the football, and look how well he does. That's a great open field tackle. Again, you know, Chase is an athlete. That's a big defensive lineman taking down a quarterback there. He's a defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle had a carry against Ole Miss. His cousin Alvin Kamara says, hey, man, maybe running backs are the thing in the family. I think he needs to stick to D-line. He made an awfully nice play there. Peoples back in the ball game. He carries off left side about 4 yards, close to the 40-yard line, as Cam Peoples gets his third carry of the ball game for right at 30 yards.
You know, I bet Kevin Barbay, the offensive coordinator, is really wanting the offensive line to accentuate ownership in this football game, because right now, again, you know, they've played better and they're starting to get the juices going, but they need to do a better job of controlling the line of scrimmage.
Mountaineers 0 for 2 on third down. This is 3rd and 9. Rice with the handoff. There goes Peoples. That's a first down gain. 3rd down and 9, that felt like maybe that 4-down territory, Avery Hall, and you put Peoples in the run play like that, and that signals first down for the black and gold.
And I will tell you, the running back room, when you have competition, it'll motivate everybody. What is it, a rising shield? You know, it takes care of everybody. I mean, think about it. Again, good play up front by Cooper Hodges, Isaiah Helms, and Damian Daly, but good hard running by Cameron Peoples.
Split backs for Bryce in the shotgun. That's Anderson Castle Low, his first time on the field. The pass over on the sideline, complete. Dalton Stroman's first catch. Reddy Stewart, the tackle out of the backfield for Troy.
That was a good throw by Chase Bryce. Stroman, I mean, that guy's 6'4", 200 pounds. So again, if you throw it up high, he's going to get most of those 50-50 balls. So good target there and good throw by Chase Bryce.
Stroman had a 41-yard catch in the Carolina game. I think everybody in the stadium had a catch that day. There were about 1 million yards between those two teams in a 63-61 shootout. Bryce, a little option toss, throwback on Hall of Fame day. Peoples gets the first down gain, a little extra pushing and shoving. Del Pettis will get him out of bounds, but not before the Mountaineers move the chains again.
Good vertical passing game. Again, horizontal passing game. Again, you try, you've been throwing the football down the field to Davis, to Stroman. Now you want to kind of get those safeties and those outside linebackers who are in coverage, kind of think a little more. So good horizontal passing game play by Barbay, the offensive coordinator.
Mountaineers dialing up the 1989 threads today for their uniform combos. That looked a little bit like DJ Campbell on the option toss there from back in your day, Avery Hall. Maybe a little faster though.
A little faster there.
Bryce across the middle, throws a strike. That's another first down catch as Caden Robinson comes down with one in traffic. Craig Slocum on the tackle.
I tell you what, that was an impressive throw by Chase Bryce. DJ, he had I think it was big Michael Weiss, number 88, in his face, and he still got that ball off.
Bryce again over to the sideline, finds Robinson, who pivots on the defender and carries down to the 21-yard line.
Good protection up front by we talked about Appalachian State's offensive line getting going. Again, they're doing a good job up front because Troy University has some dudes up front. I mean, these guys are all, you got about 6 on that defense, about six-year players. So they've been around. They played a lot of football, and they're showing it, and they're playing hard today. So good job by Appalachian State's offensive line protecting Chase there.
A whistle and a quick stoppage, a timeout taken by App State with 3:38 to play until halftime. Mountaineers trying to even things up. We will take that timeout here as well. 14-7, Trojans in front, but Mountaineers driving when we come back to the Rock. Back in Boone Kid Brewer Stadium, David Jackson, Avery Hall with you this afternoon. 2nd down and 2 for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, coming out of a called timeout by Sean Clark, trying to get even with the Trojans of Troy in this Sun Belt Conference opener. It's the only game in league play today. Everybody else in non-conference action either this afternoon or this evening. See if the Sun Belt can score any more wins against Power 5 teams. They got a few chances today. We'll see how that all plays out by the time the day is done. Conference play really gets going in earnest next week. Chase Bryce on 2nd and 2. Fake to Peoples, and the pass off the fingertips of Henry Pearson. Probably had a first down catch there to the tight end. Instead, 3rd down and short.
That was actually just really good pressure by the outside linebacker. I think that was the outside linebacker, number 8, T.J. Harris. Just did a good job of putting pressure on Chase Bryce. Again, when you put pressure on a quarterback, you're messing up him stepping forward into the throw. You're messing up his rhythm. And again, just difficult time getting that ball off Chase Bryce.
2 tight ends right, Peoples the back. Peoples on the handoff has the first down across the 20 as he churns further inside the Troy red zone. Mountaineers 1 of 1 on red zone tries today. App State so far on the year in red zone football, 7 of 8.
You've got 3:16 left in the 2nd quarter, and Appalachian would definitely benefit from punching this ball in the end zone.
And off Peoples, off one group of tacklers, tries to stiff arm another, and the shoestring tackle by Craig Slocum, all that separates Cam Peoples from another rushing touchdown. Instead, the Mountaineers pick up 9 on first down.
Craig Slocum's the free safety. He did a good job, as you can see, coming up here. Cam does a great job of vision, bouncing outside. Slocum comes up, and really you'd like to see your star running back make that one guy miss, but Slocum did a great job of an open field tackle. Make an open field tackle in space.
Peoples, the pistol back. 2nd and 1. Left side run, Peoples this time. Flag comes in on the play. There's the Mountaineer running back. Heads to the Troy 5. Looks like holding maybe the call here.
Where that flag was dropped, it definitely looks like maybe holding by the right tackle.
Number 52. It's a 10-yard penalty. Replay.
You had the right call, just the wrong position. It was Troy Everett, the center.
Troy Everett was holding. Typically, where that flag was thrown, you take somebody a little further away from the ball. But again, Troy's very athletic up front. I mean, if you look at their defensive line, they got Antonio Showers, who's 6'1", 270, Will Cholo, who's 6'2", 276, and then Buda Jones, who's 6'3", 288. These guys are not very big, but they can run, and they're quick, and they'll create havoc for this Appalachian offensive line.
13th play of this drive, just under 60 yards total for the Mountaineers. Handoff goes to Peoples again as he lowers his head into the pile and gets play back across the 20-yard line. Pickup of maybe a yard back to the initial line of scrimmage at least, and maybe a half-yard in front.
You know, DJ, some people say, well, if they can block Texas A&M, they should be able to block Troy, and that's not necessarily true. And I say that because a lot of times when you have 6 guys who are 6'5", you know, 280, 6'5", 6'6", 300, it's easy to get up under those guys, and it's easy to have leverage on those guys. But when you got guys at the group of 5, they're 6'1", 6'2", they're quick as a cat, they're harder to block. And again, these are very good football players on this Troy University team.
Huge 3rd and 10 here for App State. Fake to Peoples, pass across the middle seam, touchdown, black and gold.
Anderson Castle, great job of running down the seam from the running back position. A lot of times you don't really see the running back in that vertical passing game. They try to get it to the perimeter and let them get out in space, but great blocking, great throw, great catch by Anderson Castle.
Castle right down the seam, a perfect strike from Bryce. Hit him in stride at the 2. And now a PAT away from a tie score with just under 90 seconds until halftime. Kick into the sea of students is good. Anderson Castle, if you had him on your bingo card here in Sunbelt Play, you're a winner. We're tied up at 14 at the Rock. Anderson Castle evening this football game up right there across the bottom of your screen. The hometown product, Watauga Pioneer, in the end zone just down the road from where he went to high school. And he helps the natives get a little bit more juiced up here before the half. 14 apiece, we're tied. Hey, coming up at halftime, we're going to check back in on a great event that App State Athletics had back in the late summer, Women in Motion. Celebrating the impact of sports, had a great panel discussion. Lots of Mountaineer Hall of Famers back in for that event as they really kind of put some great conversation pieces out for the female student athletes of App State Athletics to consider, all wrapped up in a nice event. You'll see more about that at halftime.
Tell you, that's a great event, and again, anytime you can include diversity, equity, and inclusion in anything that we're doing here at Appalachian State University, that's always a great thing. Again, you've got a lot of strong leaders who happen to be women, and it's good to give them a voice and a panel of that nature.
Strong leaders on this Troy football team. We'll see how they play this final 122. 150 yards of offense. Gunnar Watson, 12 of 15 passing, 135 on his ledger. Trying to run out of some trouble and gets back to the line of scrimmage before he's brought down again. App State with a bit more heat coming out of that defense here of late.
97.
Kevin Abrams-Verwain on the tackle as Dale Jones and crew starting to rotate some of those defensive players. They have a timeout on the floor, or a timeout on the field rather, as well.
I tell you, great pressure. Again, Abrams-Verwain, you did a great job with that name. Abrams-Verwain did a good job of getting upfield in his rush. He had made a great swim move, but did a great job of circling back or running back, rerouting, and making a good open field tackle.
Abrams-Verwain, not only a stout defensive player for App State, but also sounds like an accounting firm downtown on King Street.
Kevin Abrams-Verwain, 6'3", 225 pounds. And you know, David Jackson, you talk about Dale Jones getting a lot of players involved. You know, Abrams-Verwain has been in the program 3 years. And so when you say, you know, this is maybe a new name or somebody getting rotated in, this is not a guy who's straight out of high school. He's been in this program 3 years, and he's still recognized as a sophomore.
App State called that timeout. They've got one remaining. Troy with the football. 1:16 to play in the half. 2 timeouts you see illuminated there on your screen. Pistol back is Vidal. He'll get the handoff up the middle. Shuns a couple of tacklers into open space out across the 40-yard line. Missed opportunity for a tackle for loss by App State defense turns into a Troy first down.
Missed opportunity. Ronald Clark, the free safety, had an open shot. If you take a look, he blitzes. He misses the tackle. Again, if he makes that tackle, he gets a TFL, tackle for a loss, and they're in a tough third down play situation.
Vidal missed the easy catch there on the sideline. Would have been close to a first down gain on the heels of a 13-yard run. That's Vidal's longest run from scrimmage this year. 2nd down and 10. Troy nearing midfield. Clock stop 1:02.
Troy and Coach Summerall are probably looking to get in field goal range to at least make this a 17-14 ball game at halftime. And again, they're going to be a little more aggressive than most people think with a minute left in this first half.
Watson back to Stoudemire into Mountaineer territory. That's about a 14-yard pickup. Stephen Jones on the tackle, and Troy moves the chains again. You look at range from a field goal perspective. Brooks Boos, 48-yard long last year against Georgia State. He has not tried one from 50+ in his career. 1st down and 10, Watson. Over toward the sideline, had Stoudemire, but threw him incomplete. Stephen Jones on the coverage.
That was not a good throw by Gunner. He doesn't make very many mistakes, but that was not a good throw. You know, it's interesting watching this football game unfold, David Jackson. You know, Gunner Watson can run the football, but he really wants to use his strong arm. He's an accurate quarterback. I'm surprised Appalachian State is still running a lot of zone. And maybe they don't have the confidence in the corners. It seems like they would run a little more man-to-man to kind of put a little more pressure on him, but still in a lot of zone coverage here.
Vidal, the protection back. Middle seam, nearly picked. That ball intended for Tej Johnson. Good coverage by Ronald Clark. He was nearly in position to turn and make a play on that football. 3rd down coming up. Important down here for the Trojans. This is the 7th play of the drive coming up. Troy just into App State territory, still well outside field goal range with 38 seconds to play in a tie game, approaching the half.
Troy comes out with no tight ends, twins to the boundary side.
Johnson in motion toward the top of your screen. Settles in the slot. 3rd down and 10. Watson heaves one. That's caught. That's 1st down and more. Inside the 20. Tej Johnson moves the chains for the Trojans and gets them inside field goal range with 29 seconds left until halftime.
Again, a lot of times, you know, when you run zone, you're looking to stop, you know, the run. If you take a look here, again, they only had twins to the boundary. So, again, lots of time for Gunner to throw. Great job of Tez finding a spot in that zone and kind of opening himself up. Just a good protection, good throw, good catch.
36-yard gain for Tej Johnson. Trojans inside the Mountaineer red zone once again, inching toward halftime. Troy with 2 timeouts. Watson out of the pocket. Pass underneath is complete. Devontae Ross's first catch right at the 5, and now timeout called. It looks like Troy will stop the clock with 22 seconds left until halftime.
You know, again, David Jackson, I'm surprised that, I mean, and now you have to kind of run, you know, a little more zone coverage, but I would put a little more pressure on Gunnar Watson, because if he has time to deliver the football and go through his read progression, he's going to find an open receiver. Now, you've got smaller receivers in Jabri and Tez. These guys running around for Troy University. They're 5'11", 175. One guy's, I think, 5'11", 150. They are going to get separation on a defensive back, or especially a safety who's trying to cover them. So I think I would probably err on the side of putting more pressure on Gunnar Watson than trying to play zone coverage.
220 yards for the Trojans offensively first half. App State trying to get a stop here. You know, we talked about this being an early litmus test for Troy. John Summerall saying he's making decisions for the long term for his program, but can't help but see App State as one of those opportunities to just kind of see in a short window, where are we? Where are we from a physicality standpoint? What can we do from that physical nature to dictate the terms of football games? Troy has used that physical play to potentially jump right back into the lead here before halftime. Vidal, the pistol back. Watson looking for Barber out in the flat. Runs out of an ankle tackle, nearly gets to the pylon, but will be slung out of bounds with 16 ticks left until halftime. Again,
you know, nice horizontal passing game where you get it out there to your receiver. You flip it out there. It's kind of like getting it to the perimeter quickly. Ronald Clark, if he makes that tackle, Appalachian State's in a great position, but he does not make the tackle. Now, on about 3 or 4 third downs, we've had missed tackles.
First and goal for the Trojans. Watson taking a little extra time here. Play clock at 10. Vidal is protection back. Watson looking corner of the end zone. Fought away, flag on the play. Went after Dexter Lawson, who had the pick earlier on.
Dexter Lawson actually is positioned well. We'll need to see this from a different angle. I thought he did a good job of keeping his short arm on the receiver, long arm towards the quarterback to knock it down. But we got to see this probably from a different angle, because I just...
Number 5, defense. Half the distance to the goal.
I just didn't see it, but you never know. They could easily be tugging or grabbing on the backside where we can't see.
Now, downs really don't matter with 13 seconds left. It's first down. Half the distance to the goal doesn't matter. The ball was at the 2 anyway. Check it again, though.
Yeah, again, okay. You know, you can call that's a 50-50 call, I think. Now, if you're Troy, you're going to say malarkey. If you're Appalachian, you're going to say right, but that's a 50-50 call there.
Will Cholo in the fullback spot. It's a handoff to Cholo, trying to lean across, and they'll call second down. Didn't get across. Time down to 5 seconds on the clock. And a stoppage of play.
Will Cholo was in defensive lineman heaven, being able to run the football with an opportunity to score a touchdown. But good job by Jordan Earl and the big defensive lineman up front of getting a good push and stopping him before he could get in.
They're going to review the spot and see if the line to gain indeed was met. That would have been the goal line. And a touchdown for Will Cholo, who, like I said earlier, had the carry against Ole Miss in week 1. Joe Craddock actually gave him a little credit, said that he wouldn't have given him the ball if he'd have known they were on the 2-yard line, thought they were on the 1. Well, this time they were on the 1. He gave it to him, and Cholo still might not have gotten in. We'll have to see if the line to gain was indeed gained. But Will Cholo, a downhill player in the run game. We mentioned earlier his cousin Alvin Kamara, now with the Bucks, spent some time with the Saints. Trying to teach him how to be a running back. Maybe that's the conversation around the next holiday meal is, here's how you punch it in.
Hey, he's got a little more girth than Kamara, but here's the thing. That says a lot about Troy University's defensive line. They put Kaloe in there to run the football. That just tells you how athletic he is, as well as his peers on that defensive line. It also tells you why Appalachian State's offensive line is having to work hard today.
Like they're going to put a little time back on the clock, 6 seconds indeed. Troy has no timeouts. And how about this? Trojans going for it here. They got to score or they'll likely see time run out. Only way that you can kick a field goal is if you can execute a pass play in less than 6 seconds. This is conference play right here. 14-14 tie right before the half.
Shotgun in a 2nd and 1. Wow.
Flag comes in late again.
Wow. That tells you
lots of contact in the corner there.
That could be a pass interference, but again, it's going to give half the distance. But what, you know, most teams want to line up and play power football when it comes to 2nd and 1 with 6 seconds on the clock.
There is no pass interference.
No flag.
3 seconds on the clock, and it will be 3rd down.
And they line up in shotgun formation to toss the ball. That tells you how much confidence they have, not only in the quarterback and the offensive line, but the 50-50 ball capability of their receivers. Because it's going to be a contested catch if they make a catch in this area.
Talked about that physical litmus test. Troy wants it. They want to show it right here. Billingsley, the setback. He's been the most productive runner for Troy here in the first half. Watson trying to sneak. Did he get across? App State saying no, Troy saying yes. And the Trojans get the touchdown.
Character building moment for Troy University. You'll be surprised at what that drive, what that touchdown will do for their confidence, not just in this football game against App State, but as the season progresses. That's character building, gut-wrenching, heavyweight boxing football, because they just took it down the field and really had a brilliant 2-minute drill just now.
That was 10 plays, 74 yards. Check the sneak again by Gunnar Watson. Lots of push up front. And you see it looks like that ball may be right on the goal line. And that's enough. How about John Summerall flexing a little bit of muscle there from a go-get-it guy's standpoint. Just like you said, that's a confidence-boosting opportunity for Troy, not only in this football game, but for the rest of the season. A coach that wants his team to be physical, asked them to do it time and again, and they punch it through right before the half. PAT with no time left on the clock is good, and the Troy Trojans coming to Boone. 21-14, they lead this Sun Belt Conference opener here at Kidd Brewer Stadium. Halftime on the way from the Rock. We got a 1-score game here in Boone. We are back at Kidd Brewer Stadium. First half highlights. It could not have started much better for App State. Dexter Lawson with the pick, Deshaun Davis with the trickeration and the touchdown. 4 plays into the game, App State had a 7-0 lead, and the Rock was rocking, but DK Billingsley and the Troy Trojans had other ideas in this first half of play. Billingsley with the long run there, despite App State maintaining defensive pressure. Gunnar Watson, one of 2 rushing touchdowns to go along with 195 passing yards. Troy as a team, 224 yards of total offense. Anderson Castle got it even there right before halftime, but Troy with a menacing drive to close it out. 12 plays, 75 yards, and the Trojans on the last play of the first half took the lead to the break. 21-14 is our score here as we are just about ready for second half play. Avery Hall, we look at a couple of things here. 16:55 time of possession for the Trojans, 195 passing yards. Still not running it a ton, but Gunnar Watson's made some really good decisions distributing the football at just the right times in the first half.
Great ball distribution, great accuracy with his arm. And in a nutshell, when you look at these statistics, Troy is doing exactly what Troy has done over the last 2 ball games. The difference in the football game is App State has not run the football or thrown the football. They've thrown the football well because, again, Chase Bryce is throwing for over 80% completion rate right now. But Appalachian State has not run the football well today.
Kickoff is away. The Mountaineers won the toss, deferred to the second half, and Alon Tucker will let this one sail over his head. 1st and 10 Mountaineers at their own 25-yard line. App State, you saw on the graphic there, 172 yards of offense. App hasn't played poorly from an offensive perspective. They're averaging 6.5 yards per play. A little bit lackadaisical on third down to start, but they rallied late. 4 of 6 total on third down completion, or rather conversions. Chase Bryce, 9 of 12 in the passing game. Cam Peoples, 62 yards. Got to have the football longer.
You got to have the football, and again, that goes back to Appalachian's defense not playing very well. Lots of missed tackles, not enough pressure on the quarterback, too many gaping holes in the zone coverage.
All right, Chase Bryce in the shotgun. Cam Peoples, his pistol back. And the second half of this Sun Belt Conference opener begins, and Cam Peoples taking about a truckload of Troy Trojans with him, 8 yards on a first down run right up the hash. And that's the start that App State and Kevin Barbay would like to see from their run game.
That's the type of start that they need. Offensive line knocking folks off the ball. And David Jackson, what they really need are a few more explosive plays. An explosive play is really kind of defined as 20 yards or more. Troy's had 2 of them. Appalachian has not had any.
Second and a long 2, and the boundary catch made by Christian Horn. That's a first down gain for App State. One of the things that Kevin Barbay said early in the week, whether that's a win at Texas A&M, loss in that shootout to North Carolina, every play has to live for its own thing, and then you move on to it, onto the next play, and so on. And you wonder if that halftime message wasn't a little bit of the same. Can't go back and fix anything from the first half. You got to go out and try to execute the offensive game plan. Play action. Bryce looking to heave one down the seam. He's got a man. That was Davis. He's blanketed over the top. No flag, and a savvy defensive play by Del Pettis to break up that pass attempt to Deshaun Davis.
Good play action by Chase Bryce. If you can watch here, good play action. Good step into the throw. Good throw. You know, that would have been called in the first half, but maybe they're going to call it a little more conservative in the second half. But you got to kind of fight through that type of contact, and the ball was a little overthrown as well.
Second down and 10. Peoples like a freight train toward midfield. Got forward progress to the 48-yard line. It took nearly the whole Troy defense to bring down the Mountaineer running back. Reddy Stewart, the corner, was the one that tipped the scales as Peoples picks up 6 yards and brings up third down and manageable. Again, App State 4 of 6 in the first half on third down conversions, and they rallied after missing their first 2 tries.
You know, that was just good, hard running that last play by Cameron Peoples. Again, he's averaging 7.8 yards per carry, and again, that was just hard, solid running on his part.
Fake to Peoples, and the fingertip grab. Are you kidding me? First down gain for Horn. And he got that one by the very tips of his fingernails.
Outstanding throw, post route here. Wow, what concentration. What great strength, because he was actually being pulled on. Great throw and catch by Chase Bryce and Horn.
Bryce eluding some pressure inside the 30 to the 26. Wanted play action, instead had to scamper forward and picked up 4 yards on the run play. Let's check this catch again.
That was just a great concentration by Christian Horn. And again, those are the balls that you want to catch, and just good concentration on his
grip strength. He probably walks around class with like a racquetball in his hands or something like that to have the grip strength to be able to haul one in there.
Squeezing the racquetball or squeezing the sand. A lot of times these kids, they use that sand pit where they just squeeze, and people laugh at that, but that's what they do to strengthen the hands.
Dietrich Harrington, the running back, pass play incomplete. I would think that it's a little easier to carry around the racquetball than it would be like a 5-gallon bucket of sand.
Hey man,
although you get some more work out of it.
David Jackson, I've seen the sand pit. It's a bucket of sand that most football programs use sometimes, and you just have to squeeze it. And after you've done you've done supersets with your biceps and triceps, and then you start doing that, I've seen people's hands cramp up.
That sounds awful.
It's called preparing to play on. You prepare to play for these 12 Saturdays in the fall.
Third down and 6. Harrington on the carry. Dragging defenders across the 20. That's a first down gain. And this looks more like the third down offense that App State brought to College Station. Third down and 6, third down and 4. They were able to churn those yards and keep the sticks moving in that upset victory last week.
See good zone blocking by the offensive line. They're being a little more authoritative right now. App State is on the offensive line. And again, they have a deep running back room, because you've seen Cam People scamper for yardage here. Now you see Dietrich Harrington scamper for more yards. So good running by those running backs.
Harrington, the pistol back. App State over 100 yards of rushing offense for the day. Harrington kicks it out left, has some room to the 5. Touchdown, Mountaineers!
This is a running back coming off of 2 knee surgeries. Not only is he physical inside the tackles, he has great vision and still explosive enough to, when that hole does not open up inside the tackle, he bounces it outside and is able to beat those safeties to the end zone. Outstanding vision, outstanding balance, outstanding run by Harrington.
19-yard run for Dietrich Harrington. PAT away from tying it up here on the opening drive of quarter number 3. As the fans settle in for second half play at the Rock. That was just what the doctor ordered. A 9-play, 75-yard drive. 6:04 off this early second half clock. Mountaineers and Trojans tied again here in the Sun Belt Conference opener. Kidd Brewer Stadium, we are tied at 21. Sun Belt made some noise last week. You see the 3 big wins for App State, Marshall, and Georgia Southern. And how about our friends up in Virginia Beach? Old Dominion's got Virginia on the ropes. They've already knocked off Virginia Tech. I think they're going for state champs already. And they've got Ain't No Mountain High Enough playing in the background here. Makes you think of Remember the Titans.
A great movie, man.
I mean, Old Dominion trying to etch their name into that "don't mess with the Sun Belt" statement that Keith Gillis seen the league make. South Alabama lost on a game-ending field goal at UCLA this afternoon.
Hey, the Sun Belt is no joke. And think about this. The Sun Belt was founded in 1976, but football didn't start until 2001, 21 years ago.
And the Sun Belt stayed toward the bottom of that FBS football world for quite some time. These Troy Trojans, the first team to ever get ranked. Well, they're trying to answer with some special teams play here. Troy, the first team to get ranked back in 2016, and well, we've seen Louisiana have some time in that dominating spot. App State certainly spent some time in the spotlight. You've got these new teams in that are making some waves already. Marshall, Old Dominion. James Madison's off to a 2-0 start. They'll be in Boone next week. There's a lot to be excited about for the Sun Belt Conference as we get into the meat of league play. All right, so that return out to the 39-yard line. 34-yard kick return by Jabri Barber to set up the Trojans in a tie game. Gunnar Watson with the first handoff of Troy's second half to Kamani Vidal. He's up across the 40-yard line, about the 43. Call it 4 yards for Vidal, who in the first half had 7 carries for 19 yards. Troy only ran the football for 29 first half yards. Only averaged 55 on the season, but it was the balance of all of that, Avery. It felt like, I remember you saying, it felt like they had more rushing yards because they were able to still complement run and pass.
Joe Craddock, the offensive coordinator, does a great job of running the football well enough to keep the pass game open. If you think about, great catch by Stoudemire, if you think about the last running play prior to this play, they had double tights. They motioned the tight end to the strong side where they already had a tight end as an additional blocking to get a good angle. But it also gave him a chance to read the defense. But also today, it pulls that safety up. It pulls everybody up into the box to try and stop the run, and then he hits you with the pass.
2-yard pickup for Stoudemire. 3rd down and short. Trojans 4 of 6 on 3rd down in this contest. They were 4 of 11 last week against Alabama A&M, so already matching that total as we begin second half play. Vidal motions to the right of Watson. Across the middle, a pass complete. Tez Johnson, or did it come out? It came out, and incomplete is the ruling on the field right near the midfield stripe.
And they are going for it. Wow.
This comes from going for it on 2nd and inches to end the first half. They're on their feet here at the Rock. Conference play tie game, 4th down on the home team side of the field. Sunbelt play at its best right here. And now we have movement up front. Let's see who it's on. If it's against App State, that's a 1st down for Troy.
You know what? That's just smart quarterback play by Gunnar Watson. He knows if he gets on to center, he can still step back in the shotgun. And if you're a D lineman, I play the position. If you see that guy move, you're going, because you should be looking at the ball. I understand that, and I know there are going to be guys who are pundits on football to say that guy, he's right in front of the ball, he should have moved. But it's human nature. When you see that quarterback, because you got good peripheral vision, you're looking at the ball, you're looking at everything. But good seasoned quarterback play by Gunnar Watson.
False start, offense on the quarterback.
Going to call that movement on the center.
Again, and I didn't know they were going to change that and make that an offensive call, but I'm just telling you, with that movement, I would have jumped because I'm ready to get after that guy. And so, again, good season play by Gunnar Watson. It backfired, but good job of Jordan Earl being ready to play right there at nose guard.
You haven't practiced in a while, though, but I bet you if you practiced for a few weeks, you wouldn't have jumped.
David Jackson, I'm telling you, you got peripheral vision down there. You're watching the ball, but the way he jerked, the way the center moved, that will make you move.
Mike Rivers to punt it away, had a 52-yard punt in his only kick in the first half. Wilmington native on the other side of the state of North Carolina. Drives one back inside the 10-yard line, and that's where App State is going to have the football in this tie game here at the Rock. Dramatic moments, we expect nothing less in conference play. 21 apiece in the opener. Back to action here at Kid Brewer Stadium. Amani Marshall picks up 3 yards on the first play of App State's ensuing drive here. Troy going for it on 4th down, had the false start, had to punt. Trickeration as the Mountaineers try to put some distance up that far sideline, up to the 18-yard line. On the reverse goes Christian Wells. Caleb Ransall stays with it.
Good job of Ransall staying at home. A lot to unpack on that play. A lot of different pitches. It's slow developing play. I'm sure it was designed to be a little more accelerated than that. But good production. But again, lots going on that. I think 3 different people touched the ball there.
We got a timeout on the field for injury. 9:03 to play here in the 3rd quarter. You know, we talked about these two teams having great success, and you know, in the coaching ranks, sometimes you have to file away those opportunities to celebrate a little bit. So last week, John Summerall gets his first win. Mark Stoops, who he worked for last year at Kentucky, was the defensive coordinator for one of the best Kentucky defenses ever. He texts Stoops and says, "Hey, congratulations, coach. You became the winningest coach in Kentucky football history. Awesome." And then he went back to being a little upset with the way that Troy played against Alabama A&M. Stoops texts Summerall back and says, "Hey, you're going to get to 61 faster than I did." 61 wins is what he had as the head coach of Kentucky. The interesting thing that developed in all of that, and John Summerall elaborated on this, is to be able to check in on Sundays with coaches. First time he ever had a chance to do that as a head coach. It's a small, close-knit profession, and guys enjoy celebrating the victory, celebrating the milestones, and you have the opportunity to do that with your mentor, and a meaningful win for him. He's able to help you celebrate your first win. It's just fun all the way around. There you see the Sunbelt scoreboard. How about Old Dominion falling on the road at Virginia on a 26-yard field goal as time ran out. You see the nail-biter in Los Angeles. 32-31 loss for South Alabama, but they were right there. Keith Gill's down in the press box. We could hear him stomping around. He thought he had 2 more under his belt. Up the middle run play, the line to gain was the 20 on 3rd down and short. It doesn't look like the Mountaineers are going to get the forward progress. They get to the 19-yard line. So App State's going to have to punt it away on a quick 3 and out. Gaining only 9 yards and sending the special teams unit back out as Clayton Howell will have to do the honors here.
You know, Appalachian State tried to send a tight end in motion to kind of see what type of coverage, what type of front that University would stay in. And Troy just played a good gap assignment football up front on that last play.
Howell 2 punts in the game along a 40, had 1 inside the 20. Driving punt, Stoudemire calling fair catch. Now backpedals. And we'll take it at the 35-yard line, and we will take a timeout here at the Rock. 8:01 to go, third quarter. We are still even at 21 apiece in the Sun Belt Conference opener from Boone. 7th all-time in passing, but Gunnar Watson 80 yards away from him right now. Going to pick up some of these right here and then some. Across the 40, may get them all right here down the sideline. And that's a red zone gainer for Rajay Johnson, and just like that, Troy with their foot in the App State red zone again.
Troy, the receivers are just doing a fantastic job. If you can see, finding a spot in that zone coverage. Then poor tackling here. Not sure if Dexter Lawson, what he was attempting to do, but you got to really make sure you make a sure tackle. That's the difference in this ball game, you know. And you thought that Appalachian State would make the adjustments to shore that up, but still poor tackling in the second half.
DK Billingsley, the running back, off the right side, gets through the initial line of scrimmage inside the 15. We're about the 12-yard line. So now Watson's only 31 yards away from Barker's record after the 48-yard underneath route turn successful red zone gain. 2nd down and 7. 21 apiece. We're tied mid-third quarter. Troy and App State have played a lot of lopsided games of late. Not today. Watson the handoff to Billingsley again. And he is met at the 10-yard line. Andrew Parker on the tackle. He'll be 3 yards shy of a first down. 3rd down coming up.
You know, the Craddock does a good job of play calling. He's an OC, offensive coordinator for Troy. You know, he just hits you with a 48-yard pass, and then he lines up and just plays smash mouth football. And his guys are executing. You know, you would think that they'd be really good at pass blocking or really good at run blocking, because passing is their identity, but they are pretty good at run blocking here today.
Craddock, 1st year as the Troy OC, 5th year as an FBS offensive coordinator. Vidal, the setback. Watson on 3rd and short. Pressure coming, down he goes. Huge defensive play for App State, and a late flag comes in too. Hold everything here.
That was really good pressure by, I want to say, gosh, that was McLeod.
That was Jalen McLeod on the tackle.
And just a good job of just fighting through that. He did a rip move, but then just kept fighting through. And great job.
Face mask, defense, half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
So that tackle for loss negated by the face mask.
The foul caused his helmet to come off.
You know, when you miss tackles, face mask calls, and other sometimes dead ball calls, oftentimes that's a sign of lack of focus. And you know, lots of things going on here this week for the App State football team with college game day and all that. And let me just be real clear, these players are humans just like most folks watching this game. You're tired from your work week. Well, they're tired from all the stuff that's going on, and it's showing here with some of the mental mistakes.
3rd down stop turns into a 1st down gain inside the 10. Vidal left side, got space, touchdown Troy, flag on the play.
That'll come back. If I'm not mistaken, if I saw the number right, number 57 or 77 may have hit.
The penalties now interrupting both teams' plans here on this drive. Troy sees a touchdown negated. Great left side up front work. Austin Stidham, DeAndre Butler paved the way for Vidal's touchdown run that will now come off the board.
Yeah, good execution, but that you can't hold. But that was, if you don't hold on that play, that's a pretty good executed play by Troy. you can't say that Appalachian State's defensive line was definitely in the backfield creating some havoc in that last play. Take a look here. They're reestablishing the line, but for this guy to get that much space and be that free out on the perimeter, you know there's got to be holding somewhere.
Vidal coming in motion now. 1st and goal from the 15. Watson off the fingertips, incomplete. Had Rogers, easy catch, would have made up 5 yards. Ends up 2nd down now.
You know, Roger, good. That was good coverage by Tyler Bird. He's at number 51, a linebacker for Appalachian State. If you take a look here, he's running with that quicker receiver. Well, he comes and helps disrupt it, but really good coverage by Dexter Lawson.
Lawson had the pick early. 5:20 3rd quarter. Time becoming a factor in a tie ball game. Both these teams trying to control the tempo. Watson inside the red zone here, slowing things up. 2nd out and 15, going for the corner, and that pass incomplete. Good coverage there by Tyler Bird. Intended for Stoudemire. That brings up 3rd and 15.
I saw that coverage, good coverage coming. That's why I kind of gave him credit on the play previously.
It was a forward
but
pat on the back.
Really, he really did a good job in disrupting the last play, but good job of covering a smaller receiver out in the flats there. And the good pressure by App State's defensive line to make Gunnar Watson release that football before he really wanted to.
Troy 4 of 7 on 3rd down for the game, 0 of 1 here in this 2nd half. Vidal to the right, Tez Johnson in motion. Watson looking left, corner, that ball way overthrown. 4th down coming up. And now decision time for John Summerall. It looks like Troy will play for the lead in a tie game. They'll bring up Brooks Boos, the senior out of Johns Creek, Georgia. 10 of 11 in kicks made at Troy. Had a 31-yard field goal at Ole Miss. That's a season best. He's been good from as long as 48. He'll kick from 32 in between the hashes. Who's ready for the lead? And he pushed it.
Wow.
And listen to him here at the Rock. Timeout on the field. 21 apiece. Boos' kick no good. And the Mountaineers with the ball when we come back. Back at Kid Brewer Stadium, we're tied at 21. Hey, let's play this game. The year was 2000. App State hosted Troy that year after beating Wake Forest. It was the Trojans who came in and upset App State in week 2. Top grossing film right now, Avery Hall's favorite, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Gallon of gas, $1.48. And the Oklahoma Sooners were the national champs back then. But you remember that game against Troy? Avery Hall, I remember Brock Nutter having a great game at quarterback. O.C. Umenyiora was the star defender for Troy there before he went on to an NFL career. All back in 2000. Chase Bryce, who I believe was born in 2000, but he certainly wasn't throwing any passing routes back then. Throws an incomplete pass on 1st down coming out of the timeout. Again, a missed field goal by Brooks Boos, his 1st of the year that he's missed, and only the 2nd of his Troy career. Missed from 32, pretty much right in the middle of the field. And that's why we're still tied up at 21.
I'm not going to let you slide, David Jackson. You're talking about 2000. That just makes us old. It's hard to believe it was 22 years ago when we were in the booth together. But again, that just makes us old, man.
Bryce play action. Looking to advance with the tight end game, and they'll do so. Henry Pearson, who had a drop earlier, an 11-yard catch for a 1st down. Richard Jubinor, the tackle for Troy.
Appalachian really needs to put together, Appalachian State really needs to put together a nice, consistent drive here because we're getting deep into the 3rd quarter here.
Harrington, the running back, he's had a nice day going right side and will gain to about the 35-yard line. Pickup of 4 yards on 1st down, a little bit of extracurricular. talking about the good old days of playing in the division together. They don't want this rivalry to go away just yet.
You know, Troy University always has good athletes. Appalachian State always has good athletes. You know, both teams. I mean, Troy University recruits big time in Alabama. Obviously, Georgia and South Carolina, and so does Appalachian State. And just two good football programs. Six Sun Belt titles for Troy. People forget that. Troy's been a giant slayer. They beat LSU in 2017, beat, I want to say, Nebraska in 2018. Appalachians won its share of games. So these are two similar programs, and Troy's trying to get back to where Appalachian is. And the way they're playing today, it's a good start.
There you look at Louisiana, South Alabama, the one-point loser on the road today at UCLA. You look at Troy right in the mix. Those top three, you could reverse those order in any direction and get your West winner this year. Some think that Troy moving out of the stacked East might actually be to their benefit in terms of championship game inclusion. We'll see how it all plays out. It's hard to prognosticate everything here in week 1 of conference play. Bryce, first down gainer. Across the middle to Deshaun Davis, and the chains move again for the black and gold. Pettis, the tackle for the Trojans.
Fundamental slant route by Davis. Good timing throw by Chase Bryce. Really good protection up front by Appalachian State's offensive line. Just nice, accurate throw there. 5
catches for Deshaun Davis on the day. Only 15 yards, though. And targeted 8 times. He's got a touchdown toss. Remember that back on the 4th play of the game. On first down, Bryce, play action. Home run ball down the far sideline. Got his man! Caden Robinson hauls it in inside the 15. First down, black and gold.
That's kind of like that go/corner route. Again, if you take a look here, Chase has nice protection. That's considered a 5-step drop back in the old days, but good throw, good concentration by Caden.
Peoples trying to get the corner and slips at the 20-yard line, so he will lose 5 yards on the play. Go back to Caden Robinson for a second. He's a UCF transfer, tore his ACL early in his high school season, his senior year back in 2017, actually reclassified. Came out after a monster senior year in 2018, went to UCF, couldn't quite get on the stable footing, and ends up transferring to Appalachian State to resume his career. 3 catches, 51 yards coming in today, and Robinson 3 catches, 63 in this one. He's been targeted 4 times.
He's listed as 6'2", 210, but I declare he plays bigger than that.
Bryce for Peoples on the sideline, back inside the 15-yard line. He'll get spun out on the 13. Stewart in on the tackle. Also shoved out by Will Cholo. And now we have an injury timeout.
It's like Christian Wells. Let's see if that. Not sure. Christian Wells seems to be down on the field there.
App State without Nate Noel today. We have not called Carlton Marshall's name for Troy because he is not in the game. He was ruled out, and that snapped a streak of 41 consecutive starts for Marshall. You look on the defensive side for App State. Trey Cobb, Brendan Harrington also out. So from App State's perspective, going up against North Carolina and Texas A&M, getting some bangs and bumps heading into conference play. And Troy in a very similar situation, losing Carlton Marshall and their backup tight end, DeYoungcray Lewis, who had a touchdown last week for the Trojans in that win over Alabama A&M. He has been out of today's contest, and man, he was a featured weapon last week for Troy.
I tell you what, again, it's you know, they're really incorporating the tight end more. Again, Craddock likes to use a tight end. They've thrown more to the tight end over the last couple of years than they have in the last 3 or 4 years, if you really look at their statistics. But Marshall out, you know, that's huge for Troy. Trey Cobb out. He's a leader on our defense. So on the Appalachian State defense. So again, that's a huge loss.
21 apiece. Approaching a minute left in the 3rd quarter. Chase Bryce has some room to run. Inside the 10, leaning into the 6. It's still going to be 2 yards shy of a first down. What will
they will kick the field goal?
Sean Clark do?
You will want points on the board. This football game could go down to the wire. So you want to put points on the board when you can. And the way that Troy University has been able to move the ball, particularly in a 2-minute situation, as they did in the first half, you want to put points on the board.
Michael Hughes from 23 yards hit a 29-yarder. That was the decisive points against Texas A&M last week. Good snap. Hold is down, and the kick sails through the uprights. And the deadlock has been broken here at Kidd Brewer Stadium with 29 seconds to play here in the third quarter. It's a 23-yard field goal from Michael Hughes. And the Mountaineers back in front, 24-21. Another third quarter kicking effort from Hughes that gives the Mountaineers the lead. And that is a consistent theme.
I tell you what, good drive by the Mountaineers, Appalachian State Mountaineers. Again, tight ball game, and again, that field goal will be huge because this football game, like I said, it'll probably go down to the wire. You have each team may have 3 more possessions, and so each possession will be precious. And so to put points on the board for Appalachian State that's a pretty good situation for them.
Pretty good situation. Also get these fans engaged. Troy has done a great job taking the wind out of one of the all-time crowds here at Kidd Brewer Stadium and all-time atmospheres. Total day here in Boone has been spectacular with College game day in town all week long and spending 3 hours waxing poetic. It was like a Boone Love Fest today on ESPN. And a true Chamber of Commerce day, one might say.
A true Chamber of Commerce day, but David Jackson, you and I have seen a lot of football here at the Rock at Kidd Brewer Stadium, and today it's been a little sedated compared to other games. I was telling you earlier, they do the App State chant. I don't think I've heard it today.
Barber loose on the sideline again, had a long return earlier that set up that touchdown to end the second quarter. Barber again out across the 30-yard line.
Poor tackling again. But my point, going back to the environment here today, lots of folks, the stadium is packed, but it's just not as loud today. You can say it's because of the way the Mountaineers are playing. However, I'm not going to be a pundit, but I think it's because they're tired. And I think the players are tired from just a long week. Sean Clark allowed them to enjoy it, rightfully so. They had a big win. And, it's good that they were able to enjoy the moment because they're still student athletes, but they're tired too, and it's reflected in this ball game.
Had a long trip back too, didn't make it back to Boone till Sunday. Here's pressure on Gunnar Watson. He had to throw that ball quickly. It falls flat, incomplete. Well, Watson had players right in his grill as he got rid of that football.
That was 36 Kevon Hagler, 6'1", 245, defensive end, putting pressure on Gunnar Watson. And again, Appalachian State's gone deep not only with the D-line rotation, but the linebacker rotation today due to injuries.
Stoudemire in motion toward the bottom of the screen. Watson again to pass. Swing pass out to Woods out of the backfield, and he's got a first down gain up the far sideline. And a movement of the chains for Troy. How about Deshaun Stoudemire? He has come to play, or rather Jamontez Woods coming to play out of that backfield, and now Joe Craddock utilizing running backs in different ways. If they're not running the football, you can still use them as weapons.
But you know what? That had to have been a busted coverage. But again, they're in zone coverage. Jamontez Woods get outside on that horizontal passing game. He was wide open, so there had to be a busted coverage.
24-21 our score. We head to the fourth quarter. 3-point nail biter here in Boone. How will the Sun Belt? Quarter away from this one being decided. There you see John Summerall coaching his first Sun Belt Conference game as a head coach. The Trojans have lost 4 straight to App State. Summerall was on the sideline last time they proved victorious back in 2016, a 24-21 win. Our head coach Neil Brown and the Trojans sent them into the AP Top 25 right away afterward. Billingsley out of the backfield is stuffed. DK Billingsley has been one of the bright spots in the run game today. 37 yards on 6 carries. Stephen Jones Jr. in on the tackle for App State. It's a 2-yard gain for Billingsley.
You know, Billingsley is running just as hard as he ran in the first half. The difference in that play was Appalachian State's defensive line and linebacker core had great gap alignment. There are 7 gaps you got to cover. Every gap was covered. He couldn't find a hole to bounce through, so great job up front by Appalachian State.
Billingsley the blocking back, 4 wide on 2nd down and 8. 3-point Mountaineer lead, just starting the 4th quarter. Last time App State played a 4th quarter here, they scored 40. I don't think this game's playing the same way. Pass down the near side, or rather the far side, incomplete. That was intended for Stoudemire, well underthrown. Gunnar Watson today, a solid performance all the way around. We'll see how he converts on 3rd down and 9. 258 yards. He's rushed for 2 touchdowns today. 19 of 32 passing, right at 59%. 3rd down and 9. Troy on 3rd down, 4 of 8. They have not converted on a 3rd down here in the 2nd half. Billingsley off the left. Watson with some pressure coming across the middle. He deals a strike, and that's a 1st down catch of 13 yards for Jabri Barber, and the Trojans dial up 3rd and long again.
That's just a great football play. Appalachian State got great pressure on Gunnar Washington. He got nailed. If we won't be able to show that play, he got nailed, but still had the tenacity to hang in there and throw that ball. And then Jabri, if take that play, take right, he just gets nailed, bam! But he stays in there, makes a great throw. That's a heck of a catch. That's a heck of a catch. So just a good football play by Troy.
And then Barber followed that up with a drop on what could have been about a 5-yard gain on 1st down. Immediately went back to the huddle and said, "Hey, Gunnar, that one's on me."
And you know, a lot of people are saying, well, you know, what's the difference between Texas A&M and Troy? Why are they having a hard time with Troy? You know, Texas A&M has a bunch of great athletes, but they're 18 and 19 years old. This Troy football team, these guys are 5th-year, 6th-year players, just like Appalachian. They've been in a fight before, a street fight, and they're fighting today.
Tez Johnson with the 1st down catch inside the 30-yard line, and Troy knocking on the door of the red zone once again. As App State has struggled to defend the boundary today. Tez Johnson passing 1,000 career yards with his performance today. 69 yards on 4 catches. He needed 44 yards to pass the 1,000-yard threshold coming into play this afternoon. One of the unofficially adopted brother of Bo Nix. Played together in high school. Johnson has been a weapon for Troy. Play action fake. Across the middle, and another great catch by Marcus Rogers, climbing the ladder and into Mountaineer territory, or rather into Mountaineer red zone territory are the Trojans again. 1st and 10 from the 14.
Gunnar Watson just has great pocket presence. He's patient. He throws a good, accurate ball. He has good protection by his offensive line. That was a good catch. Again, you know, you can defense it, you know, and get pressure on him, but he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. You know, Appalachian State has faced 2 good quarterbacks here at Kid Brewer Stadium in Drake May and Gunnar Watson.
Vidal on the redirect goes right and rushes to the 10-yard line. DeAndre Dingle Prince catches up with him from behind. It's a 3-yard pickup on 1st down. Rolling toward 12 minutes here in the 4th quarter of a 3-point ball game. Remember, Brooks Booth missed from 32 earlier. We'll see how that factors into John Summerall and Joe Craddock's play calling here in this 4th quarter. 3 minutes in, 3-point game. 2nd and 7. Troy can move the sticks before they get to the end zone. Punt set left. That's Johnson in motion. Pressure. Watson eludes it inside the 10-yard line and gets stuck down at the 7. As Logan Dublin on the tackle. 3rd down and 4. Huge play right here.
Good pressure by Appalachian's defensive front. Nowhere to go with the football, not enough time. So he's trying to manufacture some yards here, and just good reaction and response by the Appalachian State linebackers there.
Hell's bells ring on 3rd down here at the Rock. Troy's got to gain just inside the 4-yard line to move the chains. 3rd down and 3. They just converted their first 3rd down of the 2nd half moments ago. That was 3rd down and 9, and now timeout is called. Timeout taken by Troy. We will take it with them. 10:59 to go. 3-point ball game, but Troy in the red zone. Back here at Kid Brewer Stadium, 3-point lead to App State. Mountaineers with Troy chomping down in the red zone. And this might be a little bit about why that timeout was called, as you see Gunnar Watson gotten a little dinged up on this play, needed an extra second, so John Summerall electing to call a timeout.
That was smart because, again, he's taken a beating on this drive, but he's kind of held in there and been very, very tough mentally and physically.
Nobody disinterested in this stadium today. Got to give a hand to the job that these fans have done to try to get Appalachian State back in the ball game, trying to use that home field advantage to their advantage. But Troy right back in their red zone again, trying to quiet this heavily black and gold crowd. Vidal moves in motion. 3rd down and 3. Vidal with the catch. That's enough for a first down, though he's tackled shy of the goal line. Troy moves the chains. It'll be 1st and goal, Trojans inside the 3.
A nice play call. Again, Vidal actually had trips to the wide side of the field. They had twins to the boundary. They motioned him back inside, look as if they're going to position him to maybe run the football. Then they kick him out on that horizontal passing game. Excellent play call, because when they did all of that eye candy, all that stuff, you know, defensive coaches talk about eye candy. Well, when they did all that shifting, Appalachia's defensive middle linebacker and linebackers were shifted inside, which gave him the real estate to get out there and get the first down.
Will Cholo in there for that jumbo look again, lining up as the fullback. And now another whistle and another timeout taken by Troy. That's 2 quick timeouts taken by John Summerall. So you wonder how that will factor into strategy a little bit later on in a 3-point game with 10 minutes and change left to play.
Possessions are precious. And as we talked about earlier in the 4th quarter, each team may get about 3 more possessions in the 4th quarter. Typically, you know, if you look at Troy, you look at Appalachian State, they have about 12 possessions each game. So you anticipate 3 in the 4th quarter. So every possession is precious. So that's a good timeout. A lot of people are probably saying we may need, you know, Troy may need that timeout down the road. But again, Coach Summerall is looking at this possession as being one. He's down in the red zone, close to the end zone. He's going to try and get a touchdown. So smart timeout on his part, because he may feel that he may not have an opportunity to get this close with the next possession.
See Troy with Marshall on the slate next week. That game's on the NFL Network. 3 out of the next 4 at Veterans Memorial Stadium, where they had 26,000 strong last week in the pouring down rain to start for Troy and Alabama A&M. Tell you what, if these Trojans come home with a win on the road over App State after what happened last week and what happened today, they'll be 29,000 in there. Vidal reaches for the goal line. That's a touchdown for Troy. There is a flag on the field, so hold that thought just 1 second.
Face mask on Nick Ross, the guy attempting to make the tackle for Appalachian State. Again, he you know, grabbed the face mask.
So the penalty again, motion toward App State. Troy's touchdown will stand. It's a 3-yard rushing touchdown for Kimani Vidal. 10-10 to go in the 4th quarter. Troy up 3, PAT pending.
Penalty be assessed on the kickoff. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Again, just a power play. They get you on your heels with the passing game, and they play power football. And I will tell you, you know, David, we talked earlier in the week about Troy University worried about being able to run the football because, again, they have not had success. But when Troy needs to run the football, they run it well.
48 rushing yards, 4-point lead for the Trojans. Mountaineers with the ball, 10-10 to play when we come back to the Rock here in Boone. Troy and App State a year ago, all Mountaineers down at the Vet. A 45-7 victory for the black and gold of Appalachian State. Corey Sutton, a huge touchdown catch there to start things off. Chase Bryce had one of his better passing days. Troy just simply didn't have the football in that game. They only ran 40 plays, 16 minutes of clock time in that game. App State won it going away. Flash forward, will you, to the 4th quarter of today's ball game, where we see App State trailing Troy 28-24 here at Kid Brewer Stadium. A 12-play drive for the Trojans. Finished the job and put them ahead. 79 yards total. 28-24 the score. Kimani Vidal, the rushing touchdown. Gunnar Watson, 302 yards in the air. He's become the 7th all-time leading passer at Troy. With his productivity today. Short kick, fair catch called. That'll come out to the 25-yard line, and now Appalachian State on their home field down 4. They have been here before, and if there's a theme for this App State football team, Avery, through 2 weeks it's been cardiac football. I don't think that this particular team is bothered by the fact that they're just in a tight game late, because that's exactly how the previous 2 have been.
And you know, sometimes, like I said, tough situations build character. This game, if App State's able to pull this game out, this game will help them, you know, as they go to Coastal, as they go to Marshall. They've got a very, very tough road schedule. It'll help them against Georgia State. But you got to pull this, you know, win out if you're Appalachian State to make last week's wins really still continue to shine.
Cam Peoples in the backfield. Trying to get that left corner. And hemmed up right at the line of scrimmage. Great run pursuit. Some of the best rush defense we've seen today from Troy on Peoples, who has been able to move fairly well. Peoples, his 13th carry, right at 72 yards. The Mountaineers with 330 yards of total offense. Been pretty balanced. 139 on the ground, 191 in the air. We're under 10 minutes to go. This becomes a possession type game now. 17 of 21 fourth quarter plays run by App State last week were run plays. Did that to control the clock as Peoples tries to shovel his way through the middle of the Troy defense. Gets to the 30. That'll bring up 3rd down and a true 5. App State on 3rd down today. 7 of 11. Mixed results. They got cold. They were cold to start. Got hot in the second quarter. Have not been as productive here lately.
You know, and when you really just look at the offensive play today, I do think that Appalachian State's play calling was much more aggressive in the Carolina game as well as in the Texas A&M game.
Henry Pearson, the tight end, in the seam, bouncing off tacklers, still on his feet. 1st down into Troy territory. The Mountaineers inside the 40.
Great route down the seam. If you take a look here, Henry comes down the seam, quick release by Chase Bryce. That's just effort right there. And that's a poor tackle too by Troy University, but good effort too. And does a great job of hanging on to the football after the run.
Slocum missed him. Jubinor went in there and got him. Pearson to the 40-yard line of Troy territory. Hand off to Peoples. Started right, came back left, and got a yard on the play. Nice tackle by K.J. Robinson, the middle linebacker. He has been leaned on a lot with Carlton Marshall out of the lineup today.
He's actually had a good football game, too, with Carlton Marshall being out of the game. He, as well as, you know, Antonio Showers and K.J. I guess K.J., I'm thinking about K.J., but there's another defensive lineman that has an outstanding game. Can't get his name, the initials right now.
Bryce with play action. Rolling into pressure and has to heave it away. Boy, that was trouble waiting to happen for App State. Great pursuit by Shaquille Brown. He was right in Bryce's face as he came around with that naked boot and saw Brown right in his face.
Good pressure by Troy's defensive front there.
6th play of the drive coming up. Mountaineers with 3rd down and 10 from the Troy 41. Down 4 points. Under 8 minutes to go, clock stopped, 4th quarter.
TJ, you were talking about KJ. I was talking about TJ Jackson. I couldn't get TJ. I was thinking KJ, but it's TJ Jackson who's played a good game.
Inside handoff, Harrington, right side, he runs inside the 35-yard line, shy of the 1st down. 3 yards to gain for the conversion, so we'll call it 4th and a long 3. Mountaineers going for it here. 7.5 minutes to go. And here comes the crowd at the Rock, sensing one of those ball game type moments.
You got it. The crowd has to use good football IQ for the App State fans. They don't need folks to be loud. They need folks to quiet down so they can make their checks and adjustments and do what they need to do, the pre-snap in the pre-snap process.
App State 4 of 7 on 4th down. Their first attempt today, and timeout called. App State sensing something, and they will burn their first of 3 timeouts with 7:03 to play. We'll take that timeout with them. Don't go anywhere. Reload your chips and salsa. We got a good finish coming up here in Boone. Back here at Kid Brewer Stadium, a tight one. 4th down and 3 coming up for App State offensively, down 4 points. Chase Bryce, 71% completion percentage today. Right now, it's about moving at 3 yards. App State, 220 in the air, 151 on the ground. Here we go. 4th down and 3. Troy leading by 4, trying to score their first win here since 2000. Harrington in the backfield. That's Miller Gibbs, the offset tight end. It's a pass to Gibbs. Sideline route has the first down on 4th down. And excellent blocking to spring him free to move the chains.
Outstanding execution by Appalachian State on that play. Little screen, bubble play or screen pass out there. Good job blocking out on the perimeter by Henry Pearson, and good running by Miller Gibbs there. Again, tight end duo there getting it done for each other.
Takes the clock inside, 6.5 minutes as Bryce goes to work. His team down 4, but with new life, 1st down and 10 inside the 30. Sideline catch made. And that's Horn on the sideline to about the 22. That's a good 6-yard pickup on 1st down. Back to Miller Gibbs. Didn't that look like something right out of the Washington playbook from like the late 80s? Grandpa Joe's playbook was used on that 4th and 3.
You know, when you look at those 2 tight ends, if Miller's, you know, the power forward, you know, Henry Pearson is your big Shaquille O'Neal or somebody.
Just needed Doug Williams out there getting after it. 2 to each side. 2nd down and 4. Harrington got the corner, has some room, slips a tackle, rolling stop 15. That should be a 1st down for App State. They'll mark him at the 16, but that's a yard good of the 1st down gain.
You know, Harrington may not be the leading rusher today, but he's been awfully productive when he has run the football. I mean, I think he's averaging almost 8 yards per run. So he's definitely, when he's carried the rock, he's been pretty productive. Yeah, 8.3 average, 58 yards, 7 rushes, but he's been productive.
Peoples is the back now on 1st and 10 for the Mountaineers. They can move the football to about 12 to move the chains again. Handoff Peoples, leans into a defender. That's Harris on the tackle as Peoples takes it inside the 15-yard line. Gain of 4 yards on 1st down. Clock inside 5 minutes now. And this is one of those opportunities here for Kevin Barbay to use tempo, use some clock down. Try to give that defense a break, score points, hold on for dear life.
But you got to score a touchdown. 4:44, you may not get too many more opportunities, and you're down by 4. So he's got to try and put the football in the end zone.
Bryce looking for the corner, and that ball overthrown. No flag coming in on the play. Caden Robinson, the intended back pylon target. Pretty good coverage there by Troy.
Little pressure there. Chase has to get rid of that football a little bit before he wanted to, so overthrew Caden Robinson there. Now this is a tough play call for Barbay. Again, you know, 3rd down and 7 inside the red zone. Defenses tighten up a little bit, a little closer zone coverage. You know, it looks like they're man-to-man on the boundary side, zone on the field. See what they run here.
Peoples left side inside the 10. Shy of the 1st down. So you're looking at another 4th down and 3 coming up for App State. Mountaineers with 2 timeouts. We're running inside 4 minutes, most likely by the time this play gets off. And that's Peoples who's coming up a little bit.
That was a good hard run by Peoples. But you know, the way with Daedric Harrington's productivity, with as hard as Amani Marshall runs, I've not seen him get tackled for a negative yard. in the last 2 games. You probably want to get it to him here on 4th down and 3.
Marshall right side, watch Pearson. He's the motioning tight end. 4th down and 3. Bryce, the pass to Marshall, caught it. 1st down, gain to the 5-yard line. He just got that one across the line to gain to the 6. So the Mountaineers with 1st and goal, clock running when they set the chains inside 3:42.
That was an excellent play call, David Jackson. Again, you get the running back out in the flats. You put 3 tight ends on that side to kind of create a little chaos for a linebacker trying to get, or safety trying to get to the running back. Good catch. If he maintains his footing, he goes in the end zone.
Marshall, the running back, 3:23 and rolling. Marshall up the middle. Inside the 4, forward progress stopped pretty quickly. The Troy defense collapsing. Craig Slocum, the free safety, in there at the genesis of the tackle. So call it a yard gain. 2nd and goal from the 4 3/4 yard line.
Slocum did a great job of coming up and making, filling that gap, but also too Medina, Luis Medina, 6'1", 288 pounds, at that nose tackle position, did a great job of holding his ground on that run there. 2
4th down conversions on this drive. Bryce fake to Marshall. Bryce on the roll, and he's taken down for a significant loss. Back to the 8-yard line. That's a drop of 3, almost 4 yards. And now the Mountaineers have got goal to go and almost 10 full yards to cover.
I'd look at this as a 2-play situation, because again, you've got to put this football in the end zone if you're going to want to, Appalachian State wants to win this football. So however you're going to play call, you're playing for 2 plays here.
Amani Marshall, the setback. 3rd down and goal from the 8. Robinson up at the top of your screen. Bryce with time, going that direction. Catch made, and out of bounds goes Robinson. They'll give him the 3-yard line, so another 4th down to overcome for App State.
Wow.
Down at the 3. And then you're talking about timing being a factor as the clock continues to roll. They said he was tackled inbounds. If Troy gets a stop here, they're also deep inside their own territory.
This is I mean, lots of, if you go back to that UNC game, a lot can happen in 31 seconds, 2 or 3 touchdowns. But I do think this is pretty much the ball game if Appalachian State cannot score here.
Marshall, the setback. Bryce across the back end, no good. Troy defends it. That pass would have been caught out of bounds anyway. Eli Wilson, the intended target, so Troy gets the 4th down stop with 1:13 to go. We got a timeout on the field. Don't go anywhere, not over yet here at the Rock and Boone. App State trying to overcome a 3rd, 4th down conversion on this drive. Chase Bryce to the back of the end zone. That pass would have been out of bounds had it been completed. Great pressure by Troy, great collapsing defense. And for right now, the Trojans have a stop. But 2 timeouts remain for App State, 1:13 on the clock, and Troy now is deep in their own territory. So you got to be careful here. Troy's turned it over once today. One of the things that John Summerall talked about was winning the turnover battle. I think not losing it anymore from that first interception on the very first play of the game, it's been a difference maker. Gunnar Watson on the sneak. Well-designed play there up to the 5-yard line, and now App State will have to decide when, and they'll take one right now. 30-second timeout taken, and they'll put 1 second back on the clock. So 1:11 to play, 1 timeout remaining. And 2nd down and 8 coming up for Troy inside their own 5.
You got Appalachian State has 1 timeout, so you would think that they may force a punt, but again, it depends on how long the 4th down is, or if they go for it on 4th down. And it's feasible they may do that to run the clock out because they won't have any timeouts. But this is tough for Appalachian State.
Mountaineers with James Madison in here at the Rock next week. Then the Citadel follows that. This is the first of a 3-game homestand for App State. Nail-biter territory here.
Again, they're gonna run a play, take about 5 or 6 seconds off the clock, depending on how quickly these guys. Oh, he put the ball on the turf.
nearly dropped the snap. Handoff goes to Vidal, who takes it up to the 6, and now App State will stop it again.
This is their last time out. So
Vidal is down. And it's coming out of the bottom of the pile a little bit late.
So they're going to run about, what, 40 seconds off the clock when they run this next play? So 28 seconds, maybe, they punt it?
We've seen a lot happen in 28 seconds at this particular stadium.
We saw 3 touchdowns in 31 seconds when UNC came to town. But I don't think these teams are that explosive today. But a lot can happen in 28 seconds. But based on the next play that they run, they're going to run 40 seconds off the clock probably.
Take a look at that remaining schedule. You see just how geographic this Sun Belt East is. James Madison, that's a drive to Boone. Citadel's a drive to Boone. Georgia State's a drive. Old Dominion.
Coastals.
Robert Morris isn't all that far away. It's only about 6 hours up to Pittsburgh from here, maybe a little bit more than that. So pretty nice setup for the Sun Belt East, and all of the teams enjoying that geography. Troy, longtime division rival. There'll be some energy in this rivalry if Troy could finish out this 109. Talk about a statement. Vidal up the middle, across the 10-yard line, tripped at the 11, and now the clock will start to roll. 4th down coming up.
So they'll, again, 32 seconds left. So it'll roll down to about 22 seconds before they have to punt.
4th down coming up. This is that part of the game that coaches agonize over. This is some of what goes on in the summertime, thinking about clock management, time management, how quickly that you can expect to see a play clock run, and then how that factors into time. That was one of the things that Sean Clark did so well last week in trying to ice that game away against Texas A&M, was just clever management, and that even gets into how far you backpedal trying to take a knee, and we saw that last week. So now Troy will call the timeout. They don't lose any yardage for penalty or anything like that. 25 seconds left on the clock. Forced to punt it away, and you've got one of the best punters in FBS football to do the trick. Mike Rivers, the senior out of Wilmington, has had a solid day today. We talked about Troy saying they wanted to win special teams, and I tell you, special teams is something that they won going away today. You have Jabri Barber with 108 return yards total, or rather 100 total all-purpose yards in the game. 66 of those came on kickoff returns, and you've had 2 50-yard punts by Mike Rivers. And he needs to uncork one here. And
here's the thing, Rivers averages 46 yards per punt, which is number 11 in the NCAA kind of scoreboard, but he can punt. So again, this won't be, this will be a difficult next 24 seconds for Appalachian State.
Troy bringing the offense out, trying to maybe draw App State offside. They'll take the snap.
Whoa.
And they're going to take a safety, potentially, and finally run out of the bounds.
Wow, but Appalachian's going to get the football on a punt.
So that's a safety.
So a field goal can win it now. If they can punt it and they can get a good return, a field goal wins it. That was, I'm not sure I understand. You and I have seen some crazy game endings, but they now have to punt the ball to Appalachian.
And the Mountaineers have 20 seconds to make something work within that. So I guess the logic there could be let Gunnar Watson run around long enough to burn a little bit more time, take the safety, and then you're still talking about a miracle type play, but this definitely opens the door.
That sounds like a perfectly logical explanation, but I'm not so sure.
Now you're defending away from tight punt coverage, opportunity to maybe block it and cover it. I don't know. I mean, you're talking about heroic plays no matter what. But that one was different.
But again, now you have to punt it away or kick it away. And if they get, I mean, I'm not really sure, you know, we don't have, you know, Michael Hughes, his longest this year is 29 yards. So maybe he's saying I'm going to bet against Michael Hughes because he's only kicked. He's 1 of 3 at 33%, and his longest is 29. So maybe that's what he's thinking.
He tried 150+ against North Carolina, missed it early in that game. All right, so Troy will punt it away. 20 seconds left on the clock and a 2-point game. Short punt.
Wow.
And here comes App State with an opportunity. To the 45-yard line. Clock stopped now on forward progress, maybe. App State clamoring for time. Troy trying to string that play out. So for right now, until or if the play clock is adjusted, you got 13 seconds. Try to get into field goal territory where a field goal could win it. Could win it.
Troy.
Here's Jeremy Parker. They'll put 2 seconds back on the game clock, so 15 seconds. Now what?
So you think that to give Appalachian State to have a chance, they got 2 plays, and they're going to have to throw to the sideline if they want 2 more plays. But they're going to have to get to the 20.
Sack ends it.
Yep.
Effectively.
That's exactly right. So they've got to throw to the sideline. So you look how far they're on the far right hash mark. So they're going to throw to the sidelines, and Troy knows that.
Underneath pass, and that's picked off, or is it? No, it dropped on the ground. Troy thought they had it. They nearly had it. That was Caleb Ransall. Davis was the intended target. Stops the clock with 11 seconds left. So you burn 4 seconds there.
So I wonder if they're going to use reverse psychology, because again, logistically, you got to go to the sideline, right? So they're on the far right hash. So Troy's thinking they're going to go to the far right sideline. So do they go over top here?
Here we go with Bryce again. Across the middle he goes, and that pass incomplete. At the 40-yard line, that would have been good to move the chains. That would have stopped the clock briefly. The intended target there, Caden Robinson. Good coverage by R.J. Robertson. 7 seconds. Got to get tackled out of bounds. If you got a shot, if you can get in, you still got time to get in a field goal position here, but it would be tight. What a finish. 2-point ball games. And I mean, they're all over the place, right?
They're only going to rush 3 down linemen, and so that's going to put 11 back in coverage, and you're going to have 4 receivers out in coverage.
Here's Bryce again, firing toward the sideline. That ball is dropped. Dropped by Dalton Stroman with 2 seconds left. That would have been an extremely long field goal attempt.
So now you got to go for the Hail Mary, pretty much.
2 seconds, ball near midfield. Right now, John Summerall's gamble is 1 play away from ending just right. Just like he drew it up. Take the safety, punt the ball back, let him get to midfield, and then go 4 plays without moving it. Last play of the ball game right here.
You got a receiver not sure where he needs to be, lined up.
Robinson in motion slot. Here's Bryce. Rolling out. Time to heave it deep. Throws it shy of the goal line, and that ball is tipped around and caught.
Wow!
Oh, that's a touchdown!
Wow!
Mountaineers win it! Mountaineers win it! Deflection, are you kidding me?
Wow! Wow!
Just like Sean Clark drew it up.
My God.
College game day might need to come back. 32-28 the final. If we can find a replay, we'll show it. Duck Pond's immediate future is in peril. Let's watch it again. Watch the deflection here. Chase Bryce stepping to the side. Ball is tipped by Stroman. Caught underneath.
By Christian Horn.
Touchdown, Christian Horn. Ball game at the Rock.
Wow.
Just as everybody thought it would end. What an amazing finish. You see Bryce's throw. Watch the tip by Stroman. And Horn's right there. And a great seal there by Caden Robinson to set it up.
Unbelievable play.
If you're John Summerall, you got to think you did everything that you could possibly do to win this football game. And App State, sometimes, somehow, they've got one of those, call it a lucky penny, call it a horseshoe, call it something, but it sits in the back pocket. And at Kid Brewer Stadium, usually one time a year, it comes out. That's going to go down in the books as a 32-28 win for Appalachian State. That's going to come down as one of the craziest finishes that you will say. And Avery Hall, you and I have said a couple of times
We've seen some crazy finishes, and David Jackson, that was another one that we'll remember for a very long time. Again, Stroman, he's 6'4". He did a good job, like you said, everybody blocking out. Horn did a good job of just kind of staying in the area and coming around and getting that ball that was popped. It's tip drill. I've not seen anything like it. Unbelievable.
456 yards of total offense for App State today, and that deflection. Christian Horn will cement his name in App State legacy and lore right now as being the one that was just mindful enough to be in the right place. How many times do you see that play not work? The Hail Mary that gets batted down by a defender, and that's the way that it celebrates the other way. But this time around, credit Stroman on the tip, credit Horn on the catch. Well, you see Slocum right there getting some attention from App State. This is a Warriors football game that ended with a miraculous score. Avery Hall, real quick, final thoughts on this one.
You know, when the football gods are shining on you, accept it and count the blessing and keep moving. But two fantastic football games here at this stadium over the last 3 weeks, in the UNC game as well as the Troy State game. Summerall has a lot going for his program. They will win a lot of football games.
Well, it turns out Lee Corso's headgear was right. And the Mountaineers win it in a miraculous fashion once again. For Avery Hall, I'm David Jackson saying so long from Boone, where Appalachian State wins it on a miracle, 32-28. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. Jim Conger, this one's for you. This has been a presentation of ESPN. Good night from the Rock.